What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you guys checking in. Man, want to jump on here real quick on a Saturday, man. We appreciate y'all popping up in here. Appreciate everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a good Sunday or Saturday. Shoot. We got the game tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about it. I thought I had a little bit of a time. Want to jump on here, chop it up with you guys, chop it up with the nation, just kind of see what you guys think about the game, some of the expectations that you guys got of the game. And, man, I'm going to share with you guys some of the things that I'm looking for tomorrow with the game. But there's also some news that have been brought up this past week, and I want to touch on that. Number one, it's Kolton Miller, right? Kolton Miller, he's officially reported to practice. He's working out. I want to chop it up with you guys. Kind of give me your feedback. Let me know, do you think Kolton Miller should play by the end of the season? We're going to talk. I'll give you my opinion, of course. But then at the same time, you know, we had some rookies definitely shine the last game. Should we see more of them by tomorrow? We're going to talk about that as well. And then we're going to end it. We're going to end it with all the talks and rumors of Joe Burrow, right? I'm going to give you my take on Joe Burrow, whether or not I want to see him potentially be in the silver and black. I'm going to kind of break down what I think it's going to take to potentially get him here. And what does that mean? If we can get him here and what we need to give up to in order to even get him in the building. What does that mean for the future of the rest, and what does it mean for the rest of the roster? So I definitely want to talk about that as well. And at the very end, I try to address the chat as much as possible, give you an opportunity, kind of give you your feedback on some of the stuff that we're talking about, but also any questions that you might have, and I'll kind of give you my feedback. But I'll do my best to kind of get through the chat because I'll be honest, if you guys have ever rocked with me before, I can talk a lot. You ask a question, I'll do my best to answer it, and that answer might be 10 minutes worth of an answer. So definitely get prepared for that, but I'll try to get as many questions in as possible. But I appreciate everybody rocking in here. Not only do I got YouTube going, I got Twitter as well as Instagram. So if you guys are over on Twitter or Instagram, do me a favor, hit that follow button, jump on over to YouTube, get involved in the chat. I'm going to try to do my best to answer as many questions and address as many people as I possibly can. People are already rocking and coming through. Robert Penny, I see you. I appreciate you popping here, being the first one in the building. Donuts Duncan, man. Hey, I was able to pop in and out of Jason's live yesterday, man. It was good seeing you on there. Shout out to you. Kevin Lurker, what's going on, man? Appreciate you popping in here as well. LS, always in here. Appreciate you. I'd rather shit my hand and clap than see us tomorrow. I'd rather shit in my hand and clap than see us tomorrow. That is a new one on me. That's a pretty good one, man. That is wild. Because of that, shout out to you, man. The wife, she is going to be taking my kids to go do something. Don't have to follow through with that. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to jump on here and chop it up with y'all on a Saturday. I know this Army-Navy game. It's up here. I see it. It's coming down to the wire. I had the over-under at 65.5. I took the over, so I need a touchdown to end this game to hit that over. But suit you guys and LS, because of that comment, I'm gonna share my first drink with you guys on this Saturday. I'm gonna throw a little Jack up in here. I'm gonna throw a little Jack up in here with a little bit of Coke. Y'all know how I do. A little bit of Jack and Coke action. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. Appreciate y'all. Do me a favor if you can, double tap that screen. It hits that like button. We're going to get this thing popping. We definitely got a couple topics we're going to talk about. But I definitely want to get you guys' feedback as well. I'm going to finish up pouring this, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun, man. Salute to all you guys. I'm gonna say what's up to the rest of y'all. Appreciate y'all. Daniel Kim in the building. What's going on? Appreciate you, man. Let's see, Alfredo. What's happening, man? Hopefully you guys stick around. We're gonna chop it up. If you guys got any questions, any comments to what I'm about to talk about, definitely get involved. Let me know. Let's see, and also, guys, I dropped membership. Shout out to Kevin Larker. Shout out to LS, man. You guys are members. I did drop some members if you want to support the channel. Definitely appreciate it. I think one of the things I might do is the Giants game. It's our next home game. I might end up doing a live for members only at the tailgate. Kind of walk around, maybe do about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It depends on just how the internet connection is. Obviously, being out there, everybody's kind of streaming and stuff. And so I might do a member only live at the tailgate, so you guys can check out the tailgate. J Lot, jump on over to B Lot, and might do that. So let me know if that's something. Kevin Lurker LS, let me know if it's something you guys want me to do, and just do a members only live, so you guys can check out the tailgate and have a little bit of fun. But also, if you guys don't know, I go live on Sundays after the games. Also go live on Wednesdays. We break down game film, but we're going to break down college game film in the offseason. Right? College game film in the offseason. Obviously, a lot of talks about quarterbacks. We have a ton. We have a ton of position needs. It's going to be very interesting. Even before we get to the draft, free agency is going to be very, very interesting, given the fact that we have damn near 26 potential players that are either on the last year of their contract or were signed to one-year contracts. And so we're going to have to see, who do we prioritize, who do we bring back? And that might leave a lot of openings for potential free agents coming in, but also we have a lot of draft picks. I think we sit at 11 right now. We might get 2 more because of the comp picks. If we move around a little bit like SpyTek did last year, we might have even more. And so there's going to be a lot of college film to kind of break down, especially at the quarterback position. So we're definitely going to tap into that. So check in with us. We'll break down some college game film, just like we do in the regular season. Break down the game film of each game, but we'll also break down some game film of the free agents as well. There's obviously free agents that we may want to go after, and so one of the things that we might do, if you are a member of the channel and you want us to break down someone's game film, become a member, shoot that suggestion to us, and we'll definitely take a look at that. And so I think that's just another way of being able to kind of show my appreciation to the members. But the one way we do our show, I do show my appreciation to at least the subscribers, is we do a sub-only chat. And so if you want to get included in the chat, hit that sub button. I definitely appreciate it. So shout out to everybody rocking in here. We got a couple more rolling in. Dominic, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping in here. And look, I'm less than 100 away to 5,500 subscribers. Once I hit that, I'll do another giveaway. I know I've been announcing in some of my videos. I've been kind of slacking on the videos because honestly, I like doing this. I enjoy being able to roll out here and really do go one-on-one and really talk it up with you guys, get your guys' feedback on some of these topics. And so I'll still do my videos. I might do some more shorts, just kind of giving you guys some updates, my quick take on the news of the Raiders. But at the same time, I love coming on here and rocking out and having a good time with y'all. Unless you're saying that would be sick. Yeah. I think that's something I'm going to do. Members only, kind of give you just a walkthrough of the tailgate, everything going on. Definitely give you guys a shout out to other content creators that walk through the tailgate, man. It's fun. It's just a little something I could do for the members. Let's see. Others saying a vibe after the game. I could possibly do that. I don't always go to the games and hang out after. I try to get back here because it's hard for me to watch the games like at a bar or something like that, just the way that I watch them. And so I like to get back home. If I don't go to the game, I like to get back home. And like you guys have heard me say before, I rewind way too much, trying to just review the play and what happened. Something might catch my eye. And so if I do go to the game, then I'll definitely rock out and do a lot of members only live after the game. I'll definitely do that. But for sure, probably before the game, I'll do a members only live. DK, Linderbaum has to be priority number 1 if he hits free agency. It's definitely a hot name that's been rolling out, so we'll definitely try to break down his game film. I think the Ravens will have the option to potentially franchise tag him or extend his contract. And so, here's the thing. We can kind of talk about this for just a quick second. Linderbaum can be a top priority. I'm not arguing that. The question is just how many of these free agents want to come here, right? If we're going to overpay for a position, I will overpay for the offensive line. And I've said that for years now. Ever since I started this YouTube thing in 2023, I will overpay for offensive linemen because I think that's one of the easiest ways, quickest ways, if you can have the right coaching staff in place. I think it's the easiest way to start to show improvement on a team is by bolstering that offensive line. If you can protect the quarterback, here, one of the things that I think a lot of people have to just keep in mind is that if you improve the offensive line and you protect the quarterback, all these quarterbacks, they're professionals. I don't care if you're a backup quarterback. You are still one of the best quarterbacks on the planet, in this world, right? You've shown in college, even if you're a backup, you've shown in college that you're worthy enough to play at a top level. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not you can play at top level in the National Football League. But the thing is that if you can get the right offensive coordinator, the right quarterback coach, you can get a good offensive line, you can put a quarterback back there that's serviceable. I'm not saying they're going to, take the top off and all of a sudden become a Pro Bowler, but they could be a serviceable quarterback for what you need them for. And again, next year, if it's just a bridge, or let's say if you bring in someone like a Mariota, or I know I was high on him. Severe said he's high on him. This was actually with Josh McDaniels after we let Derek Carr go. I was cool with bringing Jacoby Brissett, knowing that he'd come in, he'd be willing to teach the next quarterback. He's smart enough to understand what his role is, and if you give him a good offensive line and you keep him upright, could he put up 21 points a game? I think he could. So I think the easiest way to show improvement off of a potential 2-15 team is bolster that offensive line. And you might be able to get yourself to, instead of 2 wins, possibly 6 wins, maybe up to 8 wins, if you just bolster that offensive line. And so, again, I'm not saying every quarterback can. I'm just saying you can put in a quarterback that maybe failed in other places or just didn't show promise. Bring them over with a good offensive-minded head coach or offensive coordinator, good quarterback coach, good offensive line. I think you can bring somebody in like that and show some improvement. First year as a Raider fan, rooting to tank. I know a lot of people have their mixed opinions. We'll definitely get into it. LS, Chewy out there somehow rubbing his hands together, waiting for that 5,500 giveaway. I know. And look, if you guys want to be involved in that giveaway at 5,500, I'll drop that giveaway. It'll be my shit. It's hard to keep track now because I sometimes surprise you guys. The last giveaway I did, I think it was after a couple parlay that I hit. If I won, we're going to do a giveaway. I did that one, and Chewy has just won back-to-back at this point. And so Chewy might be banned from that chat if that giveaway goes down. But at 5,500, I'm going to do a giveaway. I think it is my 15th giveaway since starting this channel in 2023. And so we'll have a little bit of fun. So hit that sub button if you want to get involved, and hit that sub button if you want to rock out in that giveaway. Let's see. Alfredo, I was always against tanking. F it now. I am too, and we could talk about that. And I will talk about that. Duncan knows. Before we get into the topics, I'm just rocking out with you guys. Again, I can't consistently go live solo. I got my lives after each game in the Raider War Room, as well as Wednesdays. Outside of that, man, if I just got time, I'm gonna try to do my best to share with y'all. Donuts Duncan. All right, Lindenbaum will be about $20 million. Not a bad price for the highest paid at a position. I agree. Not a bad price. And I'm going to talk about Joe Burrow as well, and we'll kind of talk about what it's going to take for Joe Burrow to even want to come here. Now, obviously, it'd have to be a trade, so Cincy can let him go if they want to. If they do right by him, maybe he could choose a little bit. But you bring him over, and have to throw a lot of money around with all the free agents that potentially we're going to have to bring in, depending on the 1-year contracts that we have. It'll be very interesting just kind of how they work that off season. So we'll get into that detail. We'll talk about Joe Burrow here in just a second. But let's talk about the tank. And I know a lot of people have come out and be like, look, we can't tank. Are you kidding me? We have to win. You're setting a bad precedent, so on and so forth. And I get that. All right. I've never been one to want to lose a football game, as a player, as a coach. I've never been that. But my situation as a coach and a player is very different. In the NFL, here's the thing. And we're going to talk about this and give me your feedback, because this could be this is going to be a loaded topic as it relates to why we need that number 1 draft pick. And as a fan, it's okay to say it. It's okay to say it because I see people complaining about us being a shit organization and losing, but at the same time saying you're not a real Raider fan if you want us to lose. Well, then if you want us to continue to win and all of a sudden become have like the 10th overall pick or the 11th overall pick, but then in the same breath you're going to turn around and complain that we're losing, then you have no clue what this organization is. As diehard as a Raider fan you claim to be, well, then you have you're not paying attention enough. You're not paying attention to just how awful this organization has been. And the question is if you want this thing to turn around, you have to get the best head coach possible. What head coach wants to come to this organization as dysfunctional as it has been for the last 20 plus years with no quarterback? We have Geno. We obviously know no head coach or maybe offensive-minded head coach wants to come over and go, hell yeah, I got Geno Smith. That's not the reality. And then what head coach wants to come over here with no quarterback or a bad quarterback situation, and now you got the 10th overall pick. And you also have to look at the fact that if you are the top head coaching candidate and you have other situations like the Giants that have potentially a franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart, the Giants that potentially have a franchise quarterback in Cam Ward, and they are also at the top of the draft. The Giants sit at number 1 right now. They might continue as number 1. I hope we lose to the Giants and steal that spot. You got the Titans that are going to have a top pick. So now they're going to have probably a top 5 pick to build around that franchise quarterback. And they already also have a pretty good defense. We have a defense that has potential, but still has holes. We still have position needs, given the fact that we have a bunch of guys on 1-year contracts. The Devin Whites, the Landon Roberts, the Eric Stokes, Isaiah Paul-Amals, they're all on 1-year contracts. And so you have to address all this. Right? Malcolm Kuntz, whether you want to bring him back, he's still in a 1-year contract. And so the thing is there's 2 other head coaching vacancies that are a million times better than what we have over here. And then in addition to that, what makes our positioning even worse is the fact that what free agents want to come here at this point? We're a dysfunctional organization. And I've talked about this in length in my other lives. The fact that our home crowd is not a home crowd. Any player that has come as an away team to come play us knows that if you sign up for the Raiders, you're never gonna have a home game again. Now, if we start winning and we start making playoffs, it might become 70-30. This is still a very destination-based fan. I guess not fan base. Sorry, a destination-based crowd. Let's just say for our home games. So at best, it might be 70-30. You still have the casinos that own a good majority of the season tickets, and so they just give them to high rollers. You know, you're still going to have people that have deep pockets that are going to come here to watch their team just because it's Vegas. And so the thing is you could look at it in so many different ways as to why this is not a desirable place for any head coach. And so what do you have to do? You have to make this the most desirable location for the best head coach possible. And that is the number 1 draft pick. You need to have full control of that number 1 draft pick so you have the option. Take the quarterback if you like a quarterback this year. Or trade back and know that you can have as much draft capital possible to create the foundation that you need to make this to move this franchise forward. If you want to be on that, if you want us to win, you're not a real Raider fan, well then you don't understand what this organization, the situation this organization's in. You either have no clue what that side of the business is, or you have blinders on because you just want to claim you're a true fan and talk shit to everybody else. Like, that's the situation that we're in right now, and that's why I am all for get the number 1 so you could be the most enticing. And if you get the number 1 pick and you get a guy like I like Clint Kubiak, I'm kind of leaning that way. But if you like a Matt Villafleur or Joe Brady, whatever, if you get that top guy in here, that's when I would be willing to potentially move on from Max. Create more cap space to bring as many weapons in as possible. You get, maybe a first rounder this year, a first rounder next year, and maybe like a third rounder this year. So you get more first round draft capital next year to build around or create the foundation. And the thing is that let's say you have a first rounder this year, first rounder next year, and let's say you do get a quarterback, right? And I've always been an advocate for sitting the quarterback their first year. You could sit that quarterback and you can keep building. You can build up even into next year and have 2 more first-round draft picks. To me, it's the short-term pain for long-term gain. in the short term, we're going to lose football games in hopes that you get the right guy in here to completely mold this thing. That's why, in my opinion, I'm perfectly fine with us losing and getting that first round draft pick. LS, for what it's worth, I don't see Linderbaum leaving. Born in Iowa and has spent his entire life on the East Coast. Less than 5% chance he comes here. I didn't know he was he was born in Iowa. And so, yeah, and look, it's an attractive place. I mean, if the Ravens have the salary cap to pay him and he's cool with it, they have all the leverage in the world, right? Sometimes, and I don't know what his personal life and his personal situation is, but here's the thing is sometimes when you have wife, kids, a family, that also plays a role. Like, are you going to uproot your entire family and move them around in order to relocate to another location? Sometimes that does play a role. Now, he's a young guy. He's going to want to get his money. So I get that, right? And that could be a massive motivation. But the thing is just how attractive is our situation. If money is purely the motivation, then maybe we'll have a chance at possibly getting him. But I'm with you. It's probably a long shot given the fact that just look at our situation and how attractive is it for top-end free agents to come here. What is going on, Rebel? What's happening, man? The Raiders can't even start to scout quarterbacks until they know who their offensive coordinator and head coach is going to be. You can't just throw anybody together and expect that to work. No, and I agree. So here's the thing: is like, there's quarterbacks that I like, but I got to know, is Pete Carroll going to be the guy? And if Pete Carroll's the guy, that is going to change my strategy of the offseason. Because I don't think Pete Carroll's going to be the guy. If he continues, I don't think Pete Carroll's going to be the guy halfway through next season or at the tail end of next season. And so I definitely want to see, and that also goes to the Linderbaum talk, right? If we change up the offensive coordinator, if we bring in an offensive-minded head coach that has a certain run blocking scheme, what is he tailored to? Then it's trying to figure out, okay, depending on what that run scheme is, I want to determine what offensive lineman do I bring in. You know what I'm saying? If we bring in an offensive coordinator that's more of a zone scheme type of guy, but then we bring in an absolute mauler that's 6'6", 350 pounds, that's not very good in the zone scheme, then it just doesn't make sense. And so the offseason is going to tell me a lot as the direction that I want to go. Just because you're the top tier free agent doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fit the scheme of the coaching staff that is going to be brought in. And so there's going to be a lot to kind of talk about as the offseason hits. I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot of topics I want to touch on. Guys, remember, tell me if you agree or disagree. You know what I'm saying? As much as I want to share my knowledge that I have with you, I'm also learning from you guys as well. And one thing I always want to say is that as much as I've spent a combined 38 years of my life of playing and coaching this game, I also can't think of every single thing. And that's why I love tapping into the other guys doing their lives and stuff like that. And because there might be something that they mentioned that I just didn't think of, right? And so that's why I tap into it. As much as I have like a lot of experience, I'm not the end all be all. I know that there's some things that I don't think of or think about. Also, there's things like LS. You just said that Linderbaum's born in Iowa. Man, I got a wife and I got 3 kids, full-time job. Like, I can't spend my whole time, researching every little thing. So these are things that I learned from you guys as well, and I definitely appreciate it. What up, LKM? What's going on? Appreciate you. Daniel Kim, hashtag full lesson, full effect. And I'm excited for the draft. I'm excited for the draft. It's coming up. We're going to do a bunch of draft talk. And look, what's real fun is all you guys that have rocked with us. You guys, rocked with us in the mock drafts last time and last year. And the thing is we're going to find our next Willie Lampkin. I'm just letting y'all know. And if y'all know, we're going to find our next Willie Lampkin. We're going to have fun with it. Raider, what's going on? It's called a strategic retreat. I've played video games where I pin myself in the corner, and no matter how I try, I just start over the same idea. I'm with you. LS Burrow's my favorite QB, and even I don't want it. Too much capital to give and consider where we are as an organization. We're going to definitely get into it without question. It's going to be a lot. It is going to be a lot. And that's going to be a topic we're going to talk about. Duncan said if we win one more game, there's a chance we fall to the 8th overall pick. I know it's because there's so many teams that have a record just shy of us. I'm not gonna come on here and really say that I know how just the strength of schedule and how they calculate that. But God, if we drop that far, I mean, with the other head coaching vacancies, it's good luck getting the top tier head coach. Good luck getting the guy that you want to come in here thinking this is it. And I'll add to it. I'll add to it one more thing about a head coach is, and Kevin Lurker, I see your super chat. I'm going to get to LS. I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. Here's another thing to think about. As a new head coach, right? Again, Clint Kubiak, Matt LaFleur, these guys, right? The percentage of times that a head coach, if it doesn't work out in the first stint and they get fired, the percentage of times that you get a second shot is not great, right? I'm not saying it's nothing, right? A lot of times coaches get a second chance. But that first head coaching opportunity that you have, you are banking that you're hoping that the decision that you make is you're going to go into an organization that is going to give you the best chance of success because the percentage of a second chance isn't very high. And so you are going to say yes or take the job within an organization that you truly feel is going to be that's going to provide you with the best foundation for you to have success on this run. And you just look at our history, and we have not done that. If you were, take your Raider fandom out of it, if you were going, for a CEO job and you had 3 job openings and you had 3 to choose from, and these 2 over here had great history, a great foundation, has shown great success, right? But then you have another one that's just absolutely dysfunctional, losing employees day in and day out, a bunch of bad complaints coming out. You just know there's ongoing drama all the time with that organization. Would you pick that organization to be the CEO? No, you wouldn't. Because the likelihood that you're going to get another head coaching job, that percentage just isn't very high. And are you gonna risk your head coaching name to that organization? And I wouldn't do it. So you got to make it as enticing as possible. That's why I say get that number 1 overall draft pick and do whatever it takes. Kevin Lurker, man, appreciate you being a member as well as the super chat. Can you 805 Bill and O-line and get our QBs in 2 years? Here's the thing. It's doable. It is doable. Without question, it's doable. You see guys turn things around. You look at what the Patriots did. They brought in some free agents. They bolstered up that offensive line a bit, but then they got Will Campbell. If you guys look back at I think it was my first mock draft. My first mock draft, we only did 3. I only had 3 chances. I got screwed when it came to the trade backs because I wanted to trade back first. But the offensive lineman I got was Will Campbell. And a lot of people hated Will Campbell because of his combine, and they're like, oh, he's short arms, all that stuff. I understood that. But I drafted Will Campbell because he could be the future left tackle, knowing that Colton Miller may not be around the next couple of years, but he could be the right tackle, and you bump DJ Glaze down to guard. And now all of a sudden, you hear everybody talking about bumping DJ Glaze down to guard. But that was my strategy. If we got an offensive tackle, whether it be Will Campbell, whether it be Kelvin Banks, that was my second favorite one. You bump DJ Glaze down to guard because we had the need, and we would have had Will Campbell at the right tackle right now. And so that would have been my overall strategy. You kind of improve that offensive line a little bit. Obviously, 2 years ago, I wanted TC Fuaga. But, and then in the next 2 years, yeah. Everybody likes Mendoza. I think there's a lot of to like about Mendoza. Dante Moore, a lot to like about Dante Moore. We're going to break that thing down even more. But you could build it. You can build it. These are all professionals. You're not that far away from building a team that can show improvement, get to like 7 wins after this season. We're not too far off, and we can build it. And luckily, some of my players have worked out. Guys I wanted to draft, some guys I wanted to bring in free agency. They've worked out elsewhere. So I don't. Yeah, maybe I could. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to try. LS, appreciate you being a member as well, and the super chat. Going from Burrow is a recipe for disaster. You can't give up that sort of capital in the position where on top of paying Burrow what his contract is and expect to win. He's also a retirement risk, in my opinion. I mean, I think he's kind of leaning towards like, I'm willing to retire, right? I think he is kind of he could contemplate it based on the situation. Because here's also look at all the quarterback needy teams. There's not very many. Yes, teams will be calling for Joe Burrow. I wouldn't doubt that. But the thing is that how many quarterback needy teams are really out there that are willing to give up that type of draft capital? You're probably going to have to give up 2-3 first-round draft picks for Joe Burrow. So what quarterback needy teams would do that, right? It's us. It's possibly the Jets. And us and the Jets, are those the true quarterback needy teams at this point? Maybe the Cardinals, if they move on from, Kyler Murray, right? And then if you pick us, we have a horrible offensive line. Why would he even want to come here? And the Jets are just a bad organization. So I'd be curious as to why he'd go there. And so are there really quarterback needy teams that are willing to give up that draft capital? Quarterbacks that have teams that have quarterbacks. Are they willing to give up that draft capital? So, LS, man, I'm with you. I'm not a fan of it, but we'll get into it. We will get into it because that's a big thing, is taking on that salary cap. And there are massive benefits to drafting a quarterback early with the 5th-year option, but at the same time, if you can find success, I hate to jump ahead, we're going to talk about it. If you can find success with a young quarterback and make playoffs, and now you kind of get to that 5th year, that fourth or maybe 5th year, or you maybe try to extend him before he gets that 5th-year option, you might be able to sign him for a little bit lesser contract than him hitting the market, right? He might want to stay here because he could be that quarterback that is now turning around an organization that has struggled for the last 20-plus years. And so, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're going to talk about Joe Burrow. Has it gone to IR? Yes, it is. Daniel, what's going on, man? Suits, guys. Do me a favor, guys. Double tap that screen if you can. Just hits that like button. Let's see. Dominic, you said I completely disagree. You can absolutely scout players now, including, you can scout them, but it just depends on when draft day comes, do you pull the trigger? You know what I'm saying? So you can scout them without question. And that's what we're going to be doing. Let's see. Alec Raiders, we need to build up cornerback and linebacker room in the offseason too. Yeah, we have a lot of needs. Got a lot of needs. What up, Dre? What's going on, brother? I'm just rocking up in here, just chilling out on a Saturday. The wife's taking the kids to do some things. Didn't have to go with them. I was like, look, I'm going to have the house to myself. There's no college football on. Kind of got some stuff done yesterday. I was like, you know what? Let's jump on here, do a solo, and rock out with y'all. Dre, you're saying they have to trade him in order to get a new quarterback. Are you talking about Burrow? If you're talking about Burrow, yeah, they will. They'll be in that. They're going to have to go get a quarterback, and they're going to need that draft capital to jump up in the draft to get that quarterback. And look, they might be a Mendoza type of, situation. So, Space Beast, I like Mambu and Kelvin Banks a lot. Kelvin Banks, I see, it was Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks. Those are my two. Those are my two that I really liked. Membu, I was just concerned about his athleticism. And he was an absolute mauler, man. He really was. I was just a little concerned about his athleticism and him keeping up with some of the edge rushers in the National Football League. That's why I was high on Kelvin Banks as well as Will Campbell. But I think Membu was doing pretty good over there. And what I do is I like to go back. And even though I like to go back and do my own assessments on guys that I liked, but also guys that I didn't like, that everybody else was high on, I'll go back and do my assessment because I want to do a better job of understanding what was my concern, and if they are excelling in that in the NFL, how did that translate? So I go back and do my homework, even on guys that I wasn't really high on, and if they're having success, then it helps me understand kind of better, or helps me better evaluate moving forward. And I think that's why. And again, it's not to toot my own horn or whatever, but I think that's why I kind of take the 80-20 rules. If I'm right, at least 80% of the time, I'm doing something right. And that's been the case in all my years of just kind of figuring out who I want for the Raiders and stuff like that. Dating, I don't even know how far back, but so that's kind of my process. And I don't just go back and evaluate the guys I liked. I go back and evaluate the guys I didn't like because I try to figure out, was I right in my evaluation or was I wrong? And if I was, why am I wrong? It all depends on what SpyTek wants at the end of the day. That is true. And I hope that could get us into the next head coaching situation, but I hope it is what SpyTek wants. Dre, I like that linebacker from Texas Tech. Are you talking about the edge rusher? I'm telling you, a lot of people like that Bain guy, and I've watched about 3 games so far. One way I evaluate talent in the college level is I like to look at least 7 games. A couple games early on and a couple games later to kind of get an idea of how they've progressed, right? What changed in their game from the beginning of the season to the end. I also like to look at some of the top tier competition that they've gone up against. Obviously, you want to see them go up against good competition. I got my concerns about Bain. I really do. I got my concerns about Bain. That Texas Tech linebacker, if you're talking about the edge rusher, I think his number is 13. I've watched 2 games on him so far. I got to do more research on him. But I think that edge rusher from Texas Tech, he's a hell of a pass rusher. I think he's got a lot to like as a pass rusher. As a run stopper, it might be interesting because I think he loses his leverage real quickly as a run stopper. He tries to use his arms way too much, get separation. Now he's looking, but he's not a very big guy, and so he gets moved off the line of scrimmage. His gap integrity isn't the best, but I got to do more work on him. But there's a lot to like about that edge rusher as well. Bain, I gotta watch more, but I'm a little bit concerned. Shout out to you guys. Again, yes, Navy beat Army. I don't know what the score was. There's a good chance I might have lost my bet. I had the over-under. I think it was 36 and a half. Need another touchdown. Not sure if it happened. Chris Ford, man, appreciate you. We have cap. Need to get players of need first. We do. I'd love to see offensive line. Chris, let me know who would in the offseason, who would you want? What position would you want to prioritize first? Let me know, man. I appreciate the super chat. And man, I love listening up to you and Jeff and all those guys, man. I'm always just doing stuff at the house and walking around when you guys are doing your content, but I always try to tap in, show my support, man. I'm going to try to tap in on a Friday. I'm going to try as much as I can. But man, Fridays is the time to let the wife do her thing and the kids. And we always do stuff with the kids. And so, but man, I appreciate the super chat. Rivers could get flattened by Hawks pass rush. I will say the one thing about Rivers is I never thought I'd hear that voice from the podium again. As soon as he did his first presser as the quarterback for the Colts, and I heard that voice, man, I wanted to throw something in my room. Like that voice, after hearing that voice for so many years, it's like I wanted to throw something. I thought I'd never have to hear that voice again. I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys have that same feeling, but he's probably one of the more. I respect him because he was a baller, right? I mean, I'm telling you, like, the one thing you can respect about Phillip Rivers is you knew he was a gamer. He was always going to take it to you. But God, I hated his voice. It's just something, man. If there was a voice in a face I wanted to punch, I think Phillip Rivers was that it. I thought I'd never have to listen to that voice again, and then I heard it, and I was ready to throw something. Chris, man, appreciate you being a member and also throwing out some memberships out there, man. I appreciate it. I think that's what I'm gonna do. And you, yeah, Rivers, Alec. You said there goes my drinking money. Hey, you know what, Bakersfield? Let me know if you're gonna try to get out to Bakersfield again, man. Because I think last year I bought the ticket for all the beers, and I think I gave some for Sacktown, man. Hey, we're gonna rock out, have a good time in Bakersfield if you can make it. Definitely go out there and. Definitely a couple rounds on me, brother. But I appreciate you throwing out some memberships out there. Damn it, man. I haven't even got the topics I want to talk about, and I'm already 40 minutes in, man. I just want to make sure that I address some of your questions. I can't do solo lives a lot. But when I do, it's my opportunity to kind of just go one-on-one, answer you guys' questions, talk to y'all, have a good time. I definitely appreciate y'all rocking with me. Cool Kev in the building. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you. Kind of bird out on edge rushers from Texas Tech. Hey, and if I was on this YouTube thing, when we got Tyree Wilson, people would have hated me. People would have hated me because everybody else loved the Tyree Wilson pick. And I'm sitting there going, go look at his college game film. There's not a whole lot to like if you understand where his success came from in college. And I hated the pick. Hated the pick. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen with Chandler Jones, right? Just with the mental stuff going on. But I hated the pick because I didn't think he was going to be successful at all in the NFL. And everybody would have hated me because I know a lot of people liked him. Chris, all right, O-line and free agency. I think we're all kind of on that. I think we're all on that train now, which is really good, which I'm happy to see. Dre, the Colts are doing everything in their power to stay in the playoffs. They are. And look, when you have that opportunity, you got to strike when it's hot, right? When you have the leverage, when you can sniff it, you got to. This is where good teams. You try to do everything. Like, I mean, there was reports coming out that they even called Derek Carr. In order for them to get Derek Carr, you'd have to basically get him out of that contract. And so they're preparing to do everything possible. And shout out to them, right? They've gotten themselves in that position. And so now you dump everything out to make it happen. You bring in a guy who hasn't played in 5 to 7 years. Good luck. I know, and that is a stretch. I think the presser that I saw, I think the reporter asked Philip Rivers, how much does he weigh right now? And what was his current playing weight or something like that? And he just laughed it off, which is right. That was the first thing I saw, footage of him throwing the football in their practice. And I'm sitting there going, bro, he looks crazy out of shape. But here's the thing. In this next game, don't be surprised. I'm gonna smash the over in Jonathan Taylor's rushing yards. That's what I'm going to do because they're going to lean on that run game. Philip Rivers is not going to walk off the street and all of a sudden throw for 250, 300 yards. That is most likely not going to happen. And so they're going to rely on Jonathan Taylor to probably carry the ball 30 plus times. I might even, depending on what the over looks like for the backup running back over there, because they're going to lean so much, which means Jonathan Taylor might go off the field a couple times to get a little bit of a breather. I might get that backup running back, see what their over-under is for the game, and put a little bit of a bet on that. That's just a little insight into my strategy. We'll have a little bit of fun. Knock Andrew, what's going on, man? Appreciate you popping in. My two, what's going on, brother? Chris Ford, you're all in on Bakersfield. 100%, man. Awesome. Awesome, brother. All right, let's do this. Let's get to the first topic, all right? I'm already 43 minutes in, haven't even got to the first topic. Man, I appreciate everybody rocking out. Do me a favor, double tap that screen. I'm going to give you kind of my take on this next topic. If you guys want to get in on my next giveaway, it's at 5,500 subscribers. I'm less than 100 away. Hit that sub button. You get included in the chat, but I'm also going to drop that giveaway. I think it's my 15th giveaway since starting this channel. If you want to become a member, shout out to all my members. I'm going to start doing just to show some love for the members, do some lives in the tailgate. All right, I'll do some lives. Again, hopefully the signal's good, the internet connection's good. We'll walk through, do a members only. If the signal is shot a little bit, I'll probably just do a video and then drop a video members only, just so you guys can see it. But I'll probably do a members only live during that game and at the tailgate. Have a little bit of fun, just so you guys can see it. Show some love for the members, man. I appreciate you. Like you, what's going on? Appreciate you. All right. Let's get to the first topic. Guys, let me know. I'm going to kind of give you my take on this. And I'm going to bring up my notes. I always got to have notes in front of me when I talk on something. So here's the first one, guys. Up top, Kolton Miller returns. Should he play? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. What you guys think of Kolton Miller? Because earlier in the week, Pete Carroll, he went up to the presser and he basically announced that Kolton Miller is now practicing. He's working out with the team. Obviously, he got injured earlier in the season. He fractured that ankle, so it's a leg injury. It's a lower extremity injury, which tells me what's really difficult. It tells me that his conditioning is probably very limited over the last couple months. A couple months that he's basically been out. So his conditioning is probably not up to par, which also tells me that it's probably going to take him at least a couple weeks to get into any type of playing shape. And I'm not saying playing shape like the top tier Kolton Miller we've seen in the past. I'm talking about playing shape. Like maybe he could kind of rotate in, or maybe he can give us 70% of a top tier Kolton Miller. That's one of my biggest concerns. And so let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Do you think Kolton Miller should play? I'm going to get to the comments in just a second. But here's my thing, is he's ruled out for this weekend, which not surprising. Even though he's practicing, I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't cleared to actually play in the game for probably another couple weeks. Maybe not even next week. It might be the week after, which tells me then if that's the case, then what is he playing the last 2 games of the season? If you want Kolton Miller to play the last 2 games of the season and risk another injury if he's not 110%, there's no reason, there's no purpose. Why risk another injury to Kolton Miller for 2 games when we're not even running for the playoffs? That's number one. And we have nothing to earn, nothing to gain for playing Kolton Miller. We know who Kolton Miller is. We know what he can bring to this team. And Kolton Miller gains nothing from playing at this point. So what's the point of bringing him the last 2 games? I understand we have Stone Forsythe. Stone Forsythe is god-awful. But this is going to bring me to my next point, is we have a Charles Grant, our 3rd-round draft pick, that in my opinion should get playing time over Stone Forsythe as well as over Kolton Miller, because I don't want to see Kolton Miller play. Now, if he is activated, maybe Kolton Miller ends up being the emergency tackle if Forsythe goes down, if Charles Grant isn't able to play for some reason. Even then, bring somebody up from the practice squad. I don't want to see Kolton Miller playing. I really don't. And if he's just out there to practice, just to kind of get moving and stuff, he can move on the sideline. He doesn't need full-blown 100% full reps in practice to test out his ankle. It means nothing. I got a big point I'm gonna say at the tail end that I think this is the main reason why he's practicing. But we have nothing to gain. Kolton Miller has nothing to gain, and we have nothing to gain by seeing Kolton Miller out there. But the one reason why I'd love to see Charles Grant play is because as of right now, we're not making the playoffs. We're not making the playoffs. We now need to evaluate some of this younger talent. We need to see what Charles Grant has. And I'm not a big fan of starting rookies until they're ready. All right, that's my biggest thing. I'm not a big fan. But right now, given the fact that we aren't making the playoffs, he can go in and play the game without the pressure of the playoffs looming on his shoulders, right? He can go in and play knowing that if he gives up a sack or if he gives up a block on a long run and all of a sudden we lose and we're not making the playoffs, it's a lot of pressure putting on a rookie that may not be fully prepared to play. Right now, there is no pressure. And so if it was me, the offensive line coach, if it was me, the head coach or offensive coordinator, and I wanted Charles Grant to play, I would have a talk with him prior to playing and say, look, I want you to go in and I want you to play to the best of your ability. No, there's no pressure on making mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen. And we're going to have the entire offseason in the remaining 3 games to work on it. Don't worry about making the mistakes. These next 4 games are all about making the mistakes and correcting them moving forward. There is no pressure. We're not making playoffs. Let's just get you some game time, get your feet wet, learn within the game, and let's correct everything moving forward. That would be my message to him, so you take the pressure off of him, and he now knows, go in and play to the best of your ability, and don't worry about making mistakes. That would be my message to him. And that's why I want to see Charles Grant going in. We know what Stone Forsythe is, and he's on a 1-year contract. We don't have him moving forward. So there's no reason why he should be playing at this point. And so if Kolton Miller ever sees the game film moving forward, if he plays a game, I'm going to be absolutely pissed off knowing that we have a 3rd-round draft pick that should be playing the game and getting the experience going into this offseason. And I got one last point to make that's going to be more towards Pete Carroll. So guys, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I definitely want to bring it up, but I definitely have my last take on that one. Let's do Lord Rachitas. What's going on, bro? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you. Red hair, you're saying no. Red hair, you're saying. For what? To maybe get hurt again, try to squeak out a victory, then we lose our draft position, save him until next year. I'm with you, 100%. Should rest for next season. This is done for. Yes, it is. Let's see. Not save him. Season's done. Stay down, Kolton by Kevin Larker. I like him. True. Hold him out. Lecky, let Forsyth finish the season. And look, if it's Forsyth or Kolton Miller, 100%. Leave Forsyth in there. I'm with you. My two, you got me under pressure. What up, Herman? Appreciate you popping in here. Appreciate you being a member. Not sure if you heard it before, but I think for the members, I'm going to do a live at the tailgate, so you guys can see the tailgate, everything going on. J lot, B lot, all the other ones. I'm going to walk around for the members. If the connection isn't great, I might just record it and do release a video to the members only. But definitely something I want to do for the members. But also, Herman, for the members, if you guys have any off-season prospects, college prospects, you might want us to do a deep dive on. We're going to break down game film of the college prospects. Give us some suggestions, and we'll definitely try to tap into it, man. But I appreciate you being a member. Appreciate you popping in here. Ready, Pete? What's going on, brother? So, guys, let me know about Kolton. I'm gonna give you my last. Reason why I think. I'm gonna give you my last reason why I think Kolton Miller is being activated at this point. Because again, I don't think it benefits him. It doesn't benefit the Raiders because we know what Kolton is. But I think that there's a reason why Kolton Miller is activated. And the only reason why is because, and this is just purely speculation, is because I think Pete Carroll is feeling the pressure of him having to win. That's the only reason why I think Kolton Miller has even a chance at playing as being activated. Because if Pete Carroll is truly on the hot seat, if some of the reports coming out, coming from some of the insiders and all those guys, the NFL insiders, all that stuff. If the reports are true that Pete Carroll could potentially be on the hot seat at the end of this season, I think the only reason why you activate Kolton Miller is because you think you need to win a couple more games to potentially save your season as a head coach. And it's purely speculation. But I do think that's the only reason why you bring Kolton Miller back, because our offense is horrible. Our offense is horrendous, especially starting from the offensive line. And if you bring Kolton Miller back at this stage in the season when nothing really matters moving forward, outside of potentially getting a draft pick, that tells me, Pete Carroll, I do think that there's a feeling that his job potentially might be in the line, and you have to squeak out a couple more wins to possibly save it. That's my pure, again, speculation, but that's just me somewhat trying to piece some puzzles together and try to figure out why the hell you bring Kolton Miller back at this stage in the season, knowing that we're not playing for anything, and we already know what we have in Kolton Miller, and we have young players on this team that we need to evaluate moving forward, so give them a chance and opportunity, especially a third-round draft pick in Charles Grant. So let me know if you guys agree, disagree. Again, purely speculation, but let me know. But we're talking about Kolton Miller and him returning to practice and whether or not he is going to potentially play. Jen Slater, what's going on, brother? You're saying, yeah, Kolton should be shut down. Pete has to show that this is a lost cause, bad idea. Or Pete has to know that this is a lost cause. He has to know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and this is what's so horrible is like, you see just so many decisions that have been made since the Christian Wilkins thing, and you're just sitting there going, when's the next bad move? When's the next bad move? And as soon as it was announced that Kolton Miller is practicing and he could play, now he's rolled out this week, which is not surprising. As soon as he said he could play, he's coming off an ankle injury, which was fractured. He's probably been very limited to conditioning, so I knew it was probably going to take him at least a couple more weeks. This is his first time practicing. We all remember how long it took Kolton Miller last year coming off of that shoulder surgery, being out of OTAs, being out of preseason. It took him probably a solid 7-8 weeks to get to good Kolton Miller last season. And you think he's going to turn this thing around in 2 weeks? Oh, I'm sorry, in a week, and play this Sunday? I mean, I think it's going to take him a minimum of 2 weeks to get to maybe 70% of Kolton Miller. Now, 70% of Kolton Miller is better than Stone Forsythe. Don't get me wrong. But still, I mean, to play 2 games? Maybe 3? It does nothing for him. It does nothing for us as as an organization, because we know what Kolton is. So it's wild. And the only thing that I could see the reason why is because I think Pete Carroll kind of thinks his job might be jeopardy, and he's got to squeak out a couple wins, and the best way to do it is to get the best O-line out there. So, and hey, just a second, salute to you. Rocking out with the first drink of the Saturday, a little bit of Jack and Coke action. We're having some fun. Raider hater. And I'm going to get to the next topic as well. Unfortunately, this makes the coach dangerous because he's not thinking for the best interest of the team and just trying to save his ass. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Lucky. One of Pete's weaknesses is his lack of developing rookies. Instead, he plays the people that's not supposed to be on the field. And that's going to get to the next topic. Actually, I don't think I put a banner of it up. No, I did not. That's right. I'll just talk about it. That gets to the next topic, and I'll get to that in just a second. Devalius. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Sounds like AP all over again. Winning one game and screwing us in the draft. Look, the only thing I'll say about that, it's really tough because look, AP, I think that ending last year, I think he truly thought he still was going to be the coach. I think he still was trying to just, turn this thing around. And so I didn't really fault him for wanting to win or trying to win. And again, at that point, I'm not sure if we knew exactly what his contract looked like. And so I wasn't mad at AP for doing it, right? I still wanted the top draft pick, or at least the best draft pick possible. I wasn't extremely mad at it. But in this case, it just it makes no sense for Kolton to go out there. And if he is truly doing it just to save his own ass, yes, he's doing it for all the wrong reasons. Ready, Pete. If Pete starts Miller, is his chance to prove it wasn't coaching? It might. I don't know. I mean, if all of a sudden we become, the offense starts moving, we do a little bit better, maybe. I've said it for a little bit, right? As much as I'm not a big fan of Geno in a sense, but like I said before, I said this earlier in the live, is that Geno is good enough. If you give him good blocking, he's going to be able to potentially keep you in a game. If you provide him with good blocking, he's going to keep you in a game. I've never said Geno is going to win you a game. Geno can keep you in a game. If the defense does pretty good, if you give him good blocking, that means your running game might do fairly well because the offensive line is good enough to potentially open up running lanes. But if you give him decent blocking, Geno could keep you in a game. This is basically, that was my assessment from him when we brought him on. And so, does it prove something? I don't know if it proves anything because I still think just the lack of the changes that he made with this offensive line stemming from the offseason just tells me that they are just going to continue to screw up decisions, in my opinion. It's not, and it's not just this Kolton Miller, right? It's not just this Kolton Miller situation. It's the 15 other situations that they put us in this offseason. So as much as, maybe the offense might look a little bit better because Kolton's in there, it might be his chance to try to prove something. But at this point, I don't think he can prove anything that shows us that he can make the right decision. Because I look at it as one good decision does not oversee all the 15 other bad decisions he's made in this entire season. We are dysfunctional, to say the least. And so That's tough. And to talk about the previous point about starting the younger players, you know, even if it makes Pete look good a little bit, or if it makes the offense look a little bit better, you're still risking injury to Kolton Miller. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not saying you're disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that there's no point in playing him. And so he is looking out for his own ass, as opposed to what's the best for the team, like the previous point was made. My two, keep him sitting, but they could want to advertise him at the end of the season. Maybe you could try to advertise him, but I do think a lot of his trade value diminished because of the injury, right? If you look at what the top tier draft capital you could have gotten, or trade value you could have gotten for Kolton if he was playing at the top of his game, given the contract extension we just gave him, you could probably cut that in half now because of his injury. So I don't even know if it'd be worth trading him away. I think it would be worth just having him solidify the left tackle position, because we know a good Colton Miller is a good left tackle. But you also, because of all the one-year contracts and players on the last year of their contract, I believe it's around 26 players, you don't want to go in the offseason with so many position needs. And I'd rather solidify Kolton Miller at that left tackle position, rest him up, get him good, and address everything else, because we're going to have plenty of things that we got to address moving forward. What up, Frank White? What's going on, man? You're saying stay away from Mendoza. He's average. Oh, you're gonna start that. You're gonna start that buzz. We're definitely gonna tap into quarterbacks. Kind of as we get later in the season. Again, I got to do a ton of my research. I'm definitely looking at him. Let's see. Dre, just play Charles Grant. No. And again, as long as I'm game with playing Charles Grant, as long as a coach, you prepare him and put him in the game with the right mindset. Let him know that this is purely for him to get his feet wet in the NFL. Make the mistakes. That's fine. Make the mistakes today, and let's continue to grow and improve off of it as the games go on and we go into the offseason. Don't throw him in there and not give him that talk, because we saw what he looked like in the offseason. He was not very good in the offseason. And if not much has improved, my thing is, as long as you put him in the game with the right mindset and the understanding that it's okay to make the mistakes, do everything you can, and we'll grow on it, and we'll learn from it, and we'll improve moving forward. And that's what I would do as a coach if I were to put him in. I'd bet on Jen Singer. I bet on Phil Rivers being in damn near as good state of conditioning as Kolton. I know, right? I know. I'm with you. What up? Where's the flag? What's going on, brother? Just checking in. Got to go work shit. Hey, man. Hey, do your thing, brother. I'm only popping on because my wife she's doing stuff with the kids. I didn't have to rock out and go with it, so I decided to come out here and just do a solo. Again, my opportunity just to kind of chop it up with you guys, have a good time. Got a couple more topics to talk about, but I appreciate you popping up in here, man. What up, Bueno? What's going on, man? Oh, shit. I think I missed you. What's going on, Bueno? Appreciate you popping in here. Jake Long in here as well. Appreciate y'all, man. Let's see. What's going on, Humber? Man, this is like watching a train wreck, but just hoping the caboose doesn't explode. I know. Hopefully it's a train wreck. It's off the tracks. Let's just hope they find the tracks at some point. But we'll see how it works out. Money Chuck, what's going on, man? Pete should be fired now. He's willing to risk players' long-term health to save his miserable ass. He's proven that he's a failure. Fire his ass. Look, my only reason to hang on to him is because I want to get through these games. We lose out. We got the number 1 overall pick, and I'm cool with it. We can even, before I get to the other topics, because again, I'm just chilling out, rocking with you guys. I'm chilling out, having a drink on here on this Saturday. Appreciate y'all. If we were to let go of Pete Carroll, and this wasn't a topic I wanted to talk about, but it's definitely something I want to bring up. And let me make sure I want to say what's up to anybody else that's in here. Frank Weber, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking with me. Do me a favor, guys. Double tap that screen. Oh, where's the flag? You got one. Raiders, and we're going to talk about Pete Carroll getting fired. I'm going to tap on that before we get to the next topic. She said, hey, 5. Have you had a chance to check out any of these Iowa offensive linemen yet? I have not, but I will. I have not, man. I'll definitely put it on my list to check those guys out. Again, I'm not going to really tap real deep into a lot of the college prospects until basically season's over. Once season's over and the playoffs are hit, obviously we're not in there, so it's going to give me more time to really do a deep dive into some of the prospects. So I haven't yet, but I definitely will, man. Definitely tap in. I know you always do. Tap in. Definitely remind me and throw those suggestions out. Let's talk real quick. If Pete Carroll is fired, and we only have a few games left, so the question is, who would be the interim head coach? And in my opinion, I think the interim head coach would have to be Patrick Graham. I think that would be the next person that would deserve the position to be interim head coach. And I know we talked about whether or not Patrick Graham would be back next year, even if Pete Carroll's fired. If Pete Carroll's fired, Patrick Graham is gone. He's gone. Obviously, the next head coach is going to want his own staff. Patrick Graham hung on to this position, even through Pete Carroll being hired on. But Patrick Graham would be the interim head coach. I think that would be the natural pick. Because outside of that, you would think it possibly would be what? Greg Olson, right? And I just don't think that would be the right pick. But I want to talk about Patrick Graham for just a second. Dre, you're saying Patrick Graham. Where's the flag you're throwing? Phil been out there. And Jake put his ass on the bench for Pete's sake. Are you saying Colton Miller? I think you might be referring to Colton Miller. For me, I think Patrick Graham's gone after this season. Number one, I think because Patrick Graham has been with us through so many head coaching changes. We've interviewed him one time for the head coaching position. He didn't get it. He's obviously had head coaching interviews with other teams. But he's kind of been through the ringer with this organization. And in my opinion, I think that it would serve Patrick Graham right to move forward. I think that you don't have to be a Patrick Graham fan. But I think what we've done with Patrick Graham has done a disservice to him, because we talk a lot about Patrick Graham and not having, his defense, fails in some cases, right? Look at all the games that we've played this year, whether it be the Commanders games, the Chiefs games, the Indianapolis games, where we just get blown out. Right? One of my biggest concerns with Patrick Graham over the last couple seasons is that every single game we give up points on the opening drive. And that's something I can't stand. The majority of my coaching years, I was a defensive coordinator. And that was one of our biggest things is, as a defense, you want to set the tone for the game. And if the offense isn't going to score on every single drive. So you want to be able to set the tone on the defense. And so my biggest objective was to basically go score, basically shut the offense out in the first quarter. That was my biggest thing. Start the game strong, finish the game strong. I wanted to shut the team out in the first quarter and the fourth quarter. Those were my biggest objectives. If I could pitch shutouts in any situation, in any quarter, it'd be the first quarter and fourth quarter. That was my biggest objective as a defensive coordinator, because it allows your offense to play without the pressure of having to put points up on the board, at least going into that first quarter and then rolling in to the rest of the first half. And Patrick Graham always gave up points. I want to say last year, I think the statistic was 12 out of our 17 games, we gave up a field goal or touchdown the opening drive of the game. And I hated it, couldn't stand it. But in the same breath, coordinators also, just like offense, right? Everybody talks about the offensive coordinator needs time to be able to get their right personnel in that fits their scheme. Well, the defensive coordinator needs that as well. It takes time. But what we've done to Patrick Graham is every time there's a rotation in a head coach, that head coach wants to put their stamp on the defense a little bit. It doesn't mean they're taking over the defense, but they're going to take their stamp a little bit. And so has allowed Patrick Graham to completely mold the defense the way that he wants to, like it would if he was with a head coach for 3+ seasons. And I'm not saying that is the complete reason why, but look at what's happened this year. Patrick Graham has now had to deal with Pete Carroll wanting to implement his cover 3. And not only statistically do we run the most cover 3 in the National Football League, you see it on the game film. we're running cover 3 in really bad situations. Cover 3 on a 1st and 10 or 1st and 12 is a horrible situation because you're susceptible in the flats as well as the seam routes. And so, again, I'm not saying that's the only reason why Patrick Graham is bad. There's definitely things that I disagree with even prior to Pete Carroll. But I just don't think that we've given Patrick Graham consistently the ability to mold it the way that he wants. And I think that's hurt him a little bit. So, and play calls also are on him. So he's not completely out of he's not out of the woodworks with it. But just like an offensive coordinator, you have to give him pieces to bring the best out of his offense. You also need to give the defense coordinator that as well. And unfortunately, we've continuously had to revamp the defense. I mean, the personnel has last year. You look at what happened to the defense. We all can agree the injuries that happened on the defense was rough. Losing Malcolm Kuntz to start the season. There was major pieces that have kind of fallen off injury-wise, stuff like that. That really hasn't helped. So I think it's been a tough go. And I say all that to basically state that I think it'd be good for Patrick Graham to have a different scenery. Sometimes, just like players, sometimes a different scenery can help a coach. And I think he can potentially move on. Last point, I'm going to get to the chat. Last point is also with all the reports coming out that Robert Saleh, that they were basically going to give Robert Saleh a crap ton of money to be the defense coordinator and then be the predecessor to Pete Carroll. That was the plan. That's kind of that's kind of a shot to Patrick Graham. That's basically saying, Patrick Graham, we really didn't want you. We wanted Robert Saleh, but we'll settle for you because Robert Saleh didn't want to come over here. That's kind of obviously what that said. That would be how I'd take that. So I think there's no way Patrick Graham is with us, no matter if Pete Carroll stays or if he's fired. I just don't think Patrick Graham will be here at all, in my opinion. Let me take that banner down, man. That's the wrong topic we're talking about. So let me know if you agree or disagree. Let's see. Money check, I think you're talking about at the very least, our management that Mark should step down and forbid Miller to play. Okay, I got you. Rafa, what's going on, man? What's going on? Rafa in the building, yes, sir. Much respect, love, respect. You're the greatest. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you rocking, man. I appreciate you tapping in. I think I saw you live a little bit earlier. I tried to tap in, but it was after you logged off, man. But I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys go over to Rafa's channel, man. Show some support, love. He does all UFC. I think you do wrestling as well. All that, man. Tapping with him. Appreciate you, brother. What up, Bob the Surfer? What's going on? Coach Pete is not being fired. He'll be here for the last 3 years at least. Man, I hope you're wrong. But look, I don't even know what's going on in that building, so you might be right. I can't agree or disagree. I just hope he's not. But because, look, for me, because of Pete Carroll's age and because as much as his contract says 3 years with a fourth-year option, it doesn't mean at 74 years old, 75, he's going to be able to keep up with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, old age will hit you quickly, and can he keep up with it? And so at this age right now, if he was going to start to turn things around, in my opinion, I felt like he needed to be at least sniffing playoffs. We should have seen like an 8 or 9 win season at this point because of his age. Now, if it was a normal situation and you have a younger head coach that you know you could build with, and he might be our head coach for the next 12 to 15 years, then give him a true 3 years to build this thing, and hopefully by the third year, you're knocking on the door with playoffs. But because of his age, I wanted to see him, and because you brought in Geno, you brought in Geno to win now. That was the messaging that I got for bringing in Geno. So I think that was the intent, and because now we look as dysfunctional as we are, and now we're a 2-win team. To me, I feel like it's time to move on and start the rebuilding process and get this thing going. So you might be right. He might be around for 3 years. I'll just be disappointed if it does go down that way. Let's see. Tony, what's going on, brother? You're saying Robbie Leonard, the current D-line coach for next defensive coordinator. Maybe. Possibly. I'd be curious to see just kind of how that transitions. You know, obviously it's going to be a guy that doesn't have head coaching or DC experience in the National Football League. He's a former tight end, I believe. And so he just, to me, he doesn't have the experience to do it. And not saying he wouldn't be good. It's just that I just don't know how well he transitioned. So he could be good. I just don't like the experience that he brings to the table to be thrown in that position. But maybe. Money Chuck, you said Bob. Sadly, I agree. So you're saying you're agreeing with Bob? Yeah, maybe. Again, I wouldn't want it to happen, but maybe it does. John Fallon, what's going on, brother? Have you changed your mind about coaching the Raiders? Man, it's so funny because I get this question quite a lot, and I'll answer it as truthfully as I possibly can. Never in my wildest, never would I say I could go in and coach these Raiders. I can't. I do have a lot of experience. I've played it for 15 years. I coached it for 23. And I started the youth. I coached high school ball, California, Texas, wherever I've coached. I mean, I think it was on 2 Sundays ago, a guy that I coached with in Texas popped up in the chat. And it was good seeing from him, and I have a really good reputation where I've coached. I create a really good community, right? But never would I say I could coach the NFL. Never would I say that. It is so far beyond my reach, even with my experience. I've had opportunities to move on, but I chose my family over coaching because I know the responsibility that it takes for coaching, the time that it takes for coaching, and I chose my family over coaching. And so, luckily I had a really good job, the same job I've been with for 17 years. That's provided a really good life for my family. And so I didn't want to move on. I enjoyed coaching, but I enjoy spending time with my family more. But I've had opportunity to move on. I haven't done it. Never would I say, would I be able to coach, at this level? Now, if I would have went on with it and continued my coaching career, could I had maybe, a chance to do it? Maybe, but never could I say I coach. But I appreciate it. I just love breaking down game film and kind of give you my my evaluations of it. And we're going to break down game film this offseason and have fun with it, man. But I appreciate you rocking. Raider Hater, what's going on, man? And I got more topics to talk about. And I'm already an hour and 15 in. You're saying you think the Raiders organization's going to pet up with Pete. Are you saying going to break up with Pete Carroll and his son as the offensive line coach and we're failing? Let's see. His ass is gone after the season. I think you're saying put up with Pete Carroll. Okay. Man, I'll be honest. I don't know because here's the only thing that I will throw out there is I have no clue what Mark Davis wants to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hard part is trying to figure out what's Mark Davis wanting to do. But if you're going to move on from Pete Carroll, you better have a clear plan in place. Because, God, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk a lot about some of these topics. And I apologize. There is a super chat. Afakasi, what's going on, brother? I see you. I'm going to get you super. Let me start this one. I'm going to go back to it. Afakasi, what's going on, brother? Shout out to you, man. I saw you able to rock out with Simone and all those guys, man. I think it was great that you were able to kind of link up with those guys being out here. We were able to link up. We chopped it up after the event for a little bit, man. It was good kind of being face-to-face, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the super chat. And I'm happy to hear you got back. I think you actually stayed out for even another week, I believe, after we saw each other, man. But I think it was great that you're able to get out to Vegas, even got to SoFi, but also link up with Samoan, man. And shout out to them just to kind of bringing you on and just kind of giving you a damn good experience coming out here, brother. So it was good seeing you. I appreciate you, man. It was good rocking out. So in the same breath, as I say, I think Pete Carroll, I think it's the right decision to move on for Pete Carroll. If we're going to do that, you better be damn sure that you have the plan in place to get the guy that you want in the building, because we did that with AP and Tom Telesco. You can argue whether or not that they should stay, but what they did was they basically they gutted this thing. They rolled out the red carpet for Ben Johnson, and it didn't work out, so they failed. And no other head coach wanted to come here. Nobody else wanted to come here. Coaches refused interviews with us, and so that's the hard part. Is if you let go of Pete Carroll, you better know for sure the guy that you want, the guy that's going to turn around this organization, is the right guy. Because if it's not, and you go through the interview process, let's say you get the 4th or 5th guy on your list, and you're not really 100% he's the guy. But if you go through that interview process, you have to give that next guy, if he's a younger guy, if he's got plenty of years, that if he works, he could rock out for the next 12 to 15 years. With our history of just a revolving door of coaches, you have to give this next guy 3 years. No matter what it looks like, you have to give this next guy 3 years. And it's got to be the guy that you want, that you truly think can turn this thing around. Because if you miss out on that guy, and now you have other good head coaching candidate positions, the Giants and the Titans, and other guys go elsewhere, and you're stuck with your fifth option. I think Pete Carroll was our last option. I think Pete Carroll was our only option, and we had to settle for Pete Carroll. You're going to put this organization in if that coach fails at 3 years, and then you go through this process again, and then you got to give the next coach 3 years. I'm telling you, it's a waste of first-round draft picks. It's another 8-9 years before we see success. Another decade might go by before we see success. So if you move on from Pete Carroll, you better be in the best position possible to get that top candidate. And to me, that means you get that number 1 overall pick. And to me, that means that you potentially move on from maxxcrosby, get as much draft capital as possible to flip the script and start the rebuild process. Make it the most attractive position possible to get that head coach in here. That's if you move on from Pete Carroll. That's just my opinion. All right, let's see. Bob, you're saying sadly, I don't want Pete Carroll fired. All right, man. Let me know. Let me know why. Bob, you're saying you weirdos tripping on his age. He's 74, man. Like, what do you think he's gonna do? Be with us the next 15? It's not gonna work. You got to build some chemistry. Because here's the thing: is you're tripping. I'm tripping on the age because what happens if all of a sudden age kicks in and he's got to resign all of a sudden, and you got to bring somebody new in, and you're not ready for the next head coach? The thing is every new head coach wants to put his own stamp on this, and so if Pete Carroll isn't showing success, and you have a first-round pick next year, you have a number 1 pick next year, and Pete Carroll doesn't work out, you're gonna have draft picks that might go to waste because the next head coach that wants to come in here may not want the first-round draft picks that you brought into the building. They may not fit their system, and so you potentially move on from them. You trade them away, and now if you don't get that same draft capital back. Like, we've put ourselves in a situation where a 74-year head coach isn't the future, and we're in a dysfunctional 2-12 season right now. And if we lose out, we've won 2 games, and we're going to go into an offseason with a dysfunctional coach that has made this season absolutely dysfunctional, with potentially an offensive line coach, which is his son, that you're not going to move on from. That potentially is going to be the O-line coach moving forward. If you also say that you want an O-lineman as a top free agent, or you want an O-lineman in the first round to revamp this offensive line, but yet we have Brennan Carroll, a guy that's not even qualified to coach the offensive line, to be the offensive line head coach or the offensive line coach, he's going to ruin these guys. And so that's why I'm tripping on his age, because he's not the future. And he's proven that he's ran a dysfunctional organization, and you give him a potential number 1 draft pick. I mean, that's why I'm tripping. And I think it's rightfully so. I think to hold on to a 74-year head coach that you think is the future that's going to turn this thing around, I think is wild. Because based on what we've seen so far, it's been pure dysfunction and question marks from the moment that Christian Wilkins shit went down. So that's why I'm tripping, and I think I'm cool with it. Jake Long, tripping on his age. Seattle got rid of him for that reason. It may be, and look, I think there's other reasons. You know what I'm saying? Why Seattle was tripping on him. Obviously, look, Pete. Rumors. All right, reports go out that Pete wanted more control than they want to give him, and you're seeing how much control he kind of has here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the hard part, is he's got a lot of control, and I think that's why we're not seeing some of the younger players. I got to get back to the younger players, man. There was a younger player that I'm surprised we haven't seen him sooner, and I'm tripping on it. I'm tripping again. And, we'll see if you agree or disagree with this one. But another reason why I'm tripping. What up, Hit Sticker? What's going on, bro? I appreciate you. Laker Nation in the building. What is going on, brother? What's happening? Appreciate y'all, man. Do me a favor. Double tap the screen. I am due for another refill. I'm having a drink with y'all on Saturday. I usually don't pop it on Saturdays. My lives are kind of hit or miss, but if the wife and kids are out doing something, I want to jump on here and do something with y'all. Let's see. Anybody else in here? Just want to say what's up to everybody. Jake saying, why would Joe Burrow want to come to a 2-win season with a worse O-line? We're going to talk about that just until then. I'm going to go one other thing. Bob, I think you're responding. Coach Pete's a Hall of Fame coach, but your social misfits want some hot young trend OC. That's ridiculous. No one's arguing he's a Hall of Fame coach. All right, no one's arguing that. But a Hall of Fame coach should be able to not have this dysfunction we have seen across the board. I mean, it's pure dysfunction. There's guys that came in this building and won it out right away. Amari Cooper. Yeah, no. I'm in the building. No, hell no. I see what's going on. I'm out. Jermaine Pratt came on here. It was a Spytek Pete Carroll guy. They signed him on. He's like, oh shit, no, I want nothing to do with this. I'm out. I mean, the dysfunction that we have with this team shouldn't be the case with a Hall of Fame coach, a guy that's been there, done that. And that's why I think that it's just time to move on. And there's risk with going with a young guy. I'm not going to disagree with that. There's risk. But hopefully it's a calculated risk that if you're positioned in the draft to match him up with possibly a quarterback that he likes, or if not, that's fine. I'm not sold 100% on these quarterbacks in the draft to go and get him at number one. But if we bring in a young offensive-minded head coach that has the history of potentially being a good head coach, or has the pedigree of being a good, or not pedigree, sorry, has the potential of being a good head coach, and you match him up with a young offensive mind, I'd be good with that direction, given the fact that if it works out, that we might have our head coach offensive mind with the quarterback for the next 12 to 15 years. That would be the hope. So I'm cool with that over a 74-year head coach that has created nothing but dysfunction, and there's no path forward with him that smells success. So that's why. That's why I am throwing that out there. John Fallon, what's going on, man? What is happening? Let's see. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit. I want to get to the younger guys, but here's the thing. Tony Sheff, you're saying Kubiak somewhere in the mix. I like Kubiak, and the only reason, Bob, it kind of goes back to what you're kind of talking about. I like Kubiak because he was the passing game coordinator for Shanahan, but he's been consistently in the NFL. He had a small stint in college, but since 2012, he's been consistently in the NFL in some capacity on the offensive side. Right, he's been a passing game quarterback coordinator, quarterback coach. He's been the offensive coordinator for the last couple of years in Seattle. He's continuing the success with Sam Darnold over there. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is their number one target, and JCN is producing like a number one target with not very many options around it, which imagine what he could do with Brock Bowers, or if we bring in a true number one target, imagine what he could do with that. But I look at the history of Klint Kubiak and the consistency he's had in the NFL. It tells me that he's at least been with good organizations. He's been around the NFL long enough to where he understands the ropes. He understands what good head coaches have done, and hopefully he could replicate that. Again, it's a shot. It's a long shot, right? It's a risk, but hopefully it's a little bit of a calculated risk that you're willing to kind of take a stab at, knowing that if it works out, man, you got yourself a coach for the next. And he's young. I think he's 39 years old. You might have somebody for the next 15 years, 20 years. Who knows? So we'll see. But I like Kubiak. He's definitely one that I like. Magladon, what's going on? Mendoza or Joe Burrow, if we get the number one pick, we're going to talk about it in just a second. Let's see, Just Win Baby. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking with me. Hummer's exactly what she said. So because we don't have another head coach looking, We still stick with Pete. Yeah, and that is the thing, right? If we decide to move on, we better have the game plan. We better have the game plan. That's all I got to say. That's why I want to set the perfect stage for a coach to want to come over here. That's why I said that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the young guys. And this kind of runs into the expectation that I have for Sunday. It goes back to the comment that I just heard, play the young guys. I'll tell you right now, Cedric Jackson better get some substantial playing time this week. When we talk about the young guys, Cedric Jackson was a guy that I wanted to make this 53-man roster when we initially dropped our projected 53-man roster earlier in the season. Right? It was the last round of cuts after that third preseason game. It was between Alec Bachman and Cedric Jackson. I wanted Cedric Jackson on this team just because of the difference of element that he brings. 4-2 guy. He showed that he had the explosion in that screen game. There was a play that he caught a screen pass, and his ability to catch the ball and get upfield was so quick that you could not only use him as a deep threat, but you also could use him in the screen game. And so I thought he just brought a different element. And also, if Trey Tucker were to go down, because obviously Trey Tucker is going to be that quick guy. If Trey Tucker went down, then you have a guy that can come in and still be that speedster, and you don't have to alter your game plan, your offensive game plan too much. And so that's one of the reasons why I thought Cedric Jackson could be a good option as kind of buried in the depth chart as a 53-man roster, but he could also help you in the return game because of the speed. That's what I thought. Now, watching him, that touchdown pass, we broke that down on Wednesday. And it's not just that the touchdown pass was great. It was the way that he got open, the route running that he showed. And if that's what he was showing, if that's what he was showing in practice, I have no clue why he hasn't been at least on this 53-man roster after the Jacoby Myers trade. When we traded Jacoby Myers and we brought on Tyler Lockett, I mean, we were arguing once we got rid of, and I knew this was going to be the case. Even with the trade talks or the extension talks before the season started, if we ever were to move on from Jacoby Myers, we were going to be arguably the worst receiver core in the National Football League. Brock Bowers is our number one threat, but we would have been arguably the worst receiver core in the National Football League. And so if that's the case, bring in the youngsters. Let's see what they got. And I'll tell you, if Cedric Jackson was showing just a little bit of that route running ability in practice, there's no reason why Tyler Lockett should be getting 100% of the snaps, because Cedric Jackson got 2 snaps last game. The snap before that touchdown catch and that touchdown catch. And then after that drive, after the touchdown catch happened, he didn't come in that last drive. He sat the bench again. And we wanted to move the ball and try to get into scoring position, but they decided to put Cedric Jackson on the bench. To me, that's wild. That is wild that you do that. So I think there's no reason why Cedric Jackson shouldn't get a 70-30 snap share with Tyler Lockett. I'm not saying Tyler Lockett sits the bench, the entire game. I'm saying 70-30. Let's see what Cedric Jackson has. Let's see if he could bring an element to this offense that we want to potentially bring him back, sign him on, keep him on the roster, and prioritize him in the offseason. And so, but again, it goes to that point of start the younger guys. We have nothing to lose at this point. Let's see what they got. Let's get more tape. Let's go get more film on him, and let's see what he has. The only argument I could say to that is, and again, this is more strategic in this offensive, this coaching staff. I'm struggling with just the strategic side of it. But, do you not want to showcase Cedric Jackson too much? You know what I'm saying? Guys, I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't picked off the practice squad. Maybe that's why there's not a whole lot of game film on him. Maybe you don't want to expose more of it. And then, yes, they're going to pluck him off of a practice squad or whatever. But I don't even know if he's activated. I know Deontay Thornton, he was activated because Deontay Thornton couldn't go. Now Deontay Thornton's cleared. I don't even know if Cedric Jackson is back on the practice squad. Chat, let me know. Let me know if Cedric Jackson is back on the practice squad and he's not activated to the 53. Because if he's not, man, that's wild. But maybe it is. Maybe they don't want to show off his game film. That could be a strategy, but at this point, I'd like to see more of the kid. But that goes to just let's play the younger kids. Let's just see. Chat, let me know. I'm going to kind of get down into the chat. Truth's Finest. What's going on, man? From the 808, man. Shout out to you. I know we got another 808 Raider in here. I got a bunch of family from Oahu, man. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you rocking out with me. If you guys got a comment, the chat is flying. Hit that hashtag Raiders. If you have a comment or a question to what I'm saying, or if you have something you disagree with, hit that hashtag Raiders. It catches my eye. I definitely appreciate it. Let me know. Raider Pete, young coaches are getting hints that the fix is in on the Raiders by the league itself. Therefore, see a danger sign for job security. Money and run. Bomb. We're 2-11 because we have the worst roster in the NFL. Yes, yeah, but remember, we have the worst roster. There were moves that were per Pete Carroll what he wanted to do with a bunch of salary cap, and so Pete Carroll's part of those roster movements. And we had the most salary. We had, I think, the second or third most salary cap going in the offseason. So and we picked in injuries happen all the time to the offensive line, and we chose Stone Forsythe to come in, and that's a Pete Carroll move because he was with Pete Carroll last year. I hated the move. I thought it was the worst move. I would have. Why you bringing Stone Forsythe boggles my mind. But you did, and this is kind of where we sit. And I agree. Like we are not a great roster, and Pete Carroll's move didn't make it any better. All right, Rebel, what's going on, man? All right. It's crazy if I ever admitted at my job that I've never been in this position before and I don't know what to do. That's a good point. Like, I've been fired instantly. Pete has admitted he doesn't know what to do. That's a very good point. He's been up there in pressers basically saying that he's never been in this position. He doesn't really know what to do. He's in strange territory, right? And for him to go out and say that is wild. And I don't know what messaging he's saying to the locker room. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and try to speculate what he's saying to the locker room. But if he's saying that in public, what confidence does that show to your locker room, your players, that you're saying, I've never been in this position before. I really don't know how to. And I'm prefacing what he said, but basically he's like, he doesn't know how to move this thing forward. He doesn't know what the next step is. If he's saying that to the media, if he's saying that to addressing to everybody watching, I just don't know what messaging he's saying to the locker room. And I know he's not saying to the locker room that he's not saying to his players, I don't know what to do. But it's more about the vibe you give. It's more about the messaging that you show in your mannerisms, your facial expressions. When he goes up on that podium, he looks like a defeated coach. He looks like a guy that doesn't know kind of where to go from here. And so that's the hard part is I know he's not saying to his players, I don't know what to do, guys, sorry. But he could probably say something different in just his facial expressions, his mannerisms, his emotion. And I'm sorry, even at 74 years old, how emotional can you get? How excited can you show? I know there's footage of him trying to wrestle players and stuff like that. And, that goes so far. You got him. You have to be able to show it in other ways. And right now, I don't think he's showing it, the dysfunction. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just, for me, I think it's time. It's time to move on. But we'll get to other topics. We will get to other topics. Remember, guys, do me a favor. Hit that hashtag Raiders. And Rebel, that last part, Pete has admitted he doesn't know what to do. Yeah, that last part. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Let's see. All right, Bob, you want to win out. All right. If we win out, look, and we don't look too hot in 2026, that's the hard part is I can't. Oh, man, I just don't know if we went out and that equates to we see good things in 2026. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong if we still rock with Pete Carroll. All right, let's see. Let's go to the next one. All right, next topic. I know a lot of people want to rock with this one, and we're going to jump to this. Just go. I've been here for an hour and 40 minutes, man. I'm going to pour another drink. Let's jump to this topic. We're going to go with this one. A lot of people are talking about trade for Joe Burrow. A lot of people are talking about trade for Joe Burrow, guys. Let me know if you want to trade for Joe Burrow. All right, I know some people threw some topics or some responses earlier. Put them back in there if you can. Kevin Lurker. We'll have the number one pick by 1:30 tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow West Coast time. We'll see how it works out. Let me know, and I'm going to give you my take. If I think we should, and this is, and again, I'm going to go to my notes. If you want to trade for Joe Burrow, you got to look at it in so many different ways. First, the question is would Joe Burrow even want to come here? And it goes back to what I said before. Does Joe Burrow want to go to another dysfunctional organization? We have one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League. And Bob, to your point, if we keep Pete Carroll as our head coach, we are keeping Pete Carroll's son as our offensive line coach, and he is god awful. And so Joe Burrow will do his homework, and he'll know that. And so does he want to come over here where Pete Carroll's still head coach with a bad offensive line coach coming from a Cincinnati bad situation? Like, do you really think Joe Burrow is going to want to come over here with the same situation? I don't think so. That's number one. Number two, we have arguably the worst receiver core in the National Football League. Yeah, we have Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is one of the better tight ends in the National Football League. That's not debatable. But in Cincy, he's got his boy over there, Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins. All right, he's got weapons over there. Will he come over here where we got Trey Tucker? We got two rookie wide receivers, Deontay Thornton, Jack Besh. Makes no sense. Deontay Thornton hasn't shown anything all season. Jack Besh hasn't shown anything all season. He had 6 catches last game. His best performance in all garbage time. And we showcased it when we broke down game film last Wednesday, where his first catch in the game last week was late in the third quarter, and it was a broken coverage by the secondary. The second catch, he found the soft spot in the zone, which is great. Right, he sat down the soft spot. Outside that, it was all in garbage time. It was all underneath routes where basically the defensive backs are basically playing zone coverage on the top, letting everything sit underneath. And that's kind of where he ate. And so a lot, and that goes to the point. All of his catches were from Kenny Pickett, where Kenny Pickett came in garbage time for the most part. I understand Geno Smith went down, but he went down later in the game. And so does Joe Burrow want to come over here? We also have a running game that's non-existent. Does Joe Burrow want to come over here? In this type of situation, he's also going to go to a dysfunctional coaching staff where we don't even know who our offensive coordinator is. And so you'd have to convince Joe Burrow. Now, mind you, we have to trade for him, right? It's all up to Cincy. Cincy is going to accept the trade. And if Cincy does right by Joe Burrow, they'll at least give him some input, maybe where he wants to go. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. But that's the hard part. Joe Burrow is a top quarterback in the National Football League, and he wants to come over here in this situation where he doesn't even know what the offensive coordinator is going to be. You don't even know who you're basically be getting the play calls from. And I also made the point before is every player that has played against us, that plays for the team, knows that Allegiant Stadium is no longer a home game for you. And so you're going to have to pay a ridiculous amount. You're going to have to take on his contract. But you're going to have to pay a ridiculous amount to maybe get him over here. And we'll talk about the salary cap hit in just a second. But would he even want to come over here? And if the Cincinnati Bengals give him any thought as to, or any input as to where he wants to go, there's no way in hell he would want to come over here. Now, the other question is you also have to look at who are the other quarterback needy teams out there. There's going to be a vast majority of teams that will call for Joe Burrow. But a lot of the teams that will call for Joe Burrow will probably have a good enough quarterback situation where they're not going to want to give up, 2 or 3 first-round draft picks to bring him over and take on that salary cap. You got the Jets that might make that phone call and consider it. A lot of people talk about the Saints, but the Saints took Tyler Shook. And so that organization drafted a quarterback, so they might rock out with him. The only other organization that I thought might be interested is the Arizona Cardinals. If they move on from Kyler Murray, they might want to take a shot because there's obviously a situation with Kyler Murray over the other. They don't even know what the future is with him. What other teams truly need a quarterback and are willing to give up that draft capital? And that's who you're battling. And again, I think the Jets are one that might be the only other true quarterback or team that's quarterback needy enough to go get them. And the last two quarterbacks drafts were so good that I think that a lot of teams have kind of got their guy now, and they're rocking with their guy. And so it would be interesting. It would be very interesting to see just who would be willing to give up that draft capital. And I'm more on the side that I want to get a young quarterback in here and develop him with an offensive-minded either head coach or good offensive coordinator, but preferably head coach, because you always have that fifth-year option. You could build around that quarterback. And so that's what I would prefer. And if you can find success with that young quarterback, and I said this earlier in the live, if you can find success with that young quarterback, let's say you get to the third or fourth year of that young quarterback's career, and you are now making the second round of playoffs or what have you, you could potentially extend their contract, sign that fifth-year option, or just extend them, lock them in for a bigger contract. But because you're on the verge of possibly making a Super Bowl because you made it to the second round of playoffs, maybe even the third, they might take a more favorable contract. And now you have more cap space to build around that guy. Now, I'm all for a young player getting their contract, their money on that first contract, because that's the big contract. The rookie contracts definitely favor the NFL organizations. I'm all for the rookies getting their first that first real big contract. I'm all for them getting their money. But if you can prove to a young quarterback that you're setting in the right direction and you might be able to be that quarterback that turns this horrible organization around for the first time in 20 plus years, you could maybe get a favorable contract to help build around that guy. That would be my number one objective. But I would struggle giving up so much draft capital to get in Joe Burrow. But if we did, I wouldn't be mad at it. I would just hope the guys in place in the front office can understand how do you build around them, and they can kind of work the numbers to figure it out. So that's just my take. I got more opinions on it, but I definitely want to see what everybody else has to say. What up, Coach Dwayne? Coach C in the building. What's going on, brother? A guy that I coached with in Texas, man. I appreciate you rocking with me. I said it, man, earlier. Man. If I could never hear Philip Rivers' voice again, it would be amazing. That's the one thing I hated about Philip Rivers is his press conference. I always had to listen to him, and his voice just wanted me to punch the wall. And then I thought I'd never have to hear his voice again. And then I heard his presser when he stepped up to the podium with the Colts. And as soon as I heard that voice, man, because I'll tell you, the one thing that you got to respect about Philip Rivers was he was a competitor. You knew he was going to bring it every single game. And God, I just hated his voice. But, man, shout out to you, brother. I appreciate you popping in here. All right, guys, let's see. JustWinBaby, you're saying, yes, definitely would trade for Bazooka Joe. We would need to fire Pete for sure, though. Probably, and I will say another thing that really does concern me. If you bring on Joe Burrow, it is without question a turnaround now situation, obviously. And you would hope you'd have the salary cap. You'd hope you'd have still the draft capital to build. But Joe Burrow has his injury issues. And are you going to draft away the future with a guy that is very injury prone? And I would struggle with it. I really would. I would trust the process. I would hope that he turn around and he doesn't get injured. But I'm telling you, the moment he does get injured, you give up, let's say, like 3 first-round draft picks. The The moment he gets injured, the people that didn't want it, it will go back to the Raider Nation being completely divided, and it'd be an absolute civil war of the I told you shows coming out. So just be prepared for that. But the injury history, you without question have to take that into consideration with giving up that much draft capital. True's finest was going, man. Joe Burrow wants to go to a team like the Rams that Stafford when Stafford steps down. It would be a good fit for him. You know what I'm saying? You got the weapons over there. You got one of the best offensive minds over there. It wouldn't be mad at him. Coach C, you're saying Joe will go to the 49ers, Giants, Saints. 49ers is a good one. Oh, shit, I didn't even think about them. Giants would be interesting only because obviously they got Jackson Dart. I think the next head coach, if you take that position, and it's one of the reasons why I've stated that I think if we're going to be able to get the best head coaching candidate possible for this organization, you would have to shower them with salary cap. You'd have to shower them with draft picks. And that's why that would be the only situation. If you got the best guy possible, that'd be the only situation or scenario that I'd be willing to move on from maxxcrosby, because you would get draft picks to build the foundation for a new head coach. That'd be the only situation. But you'd have to build up draft capital, because if a head coach takes that Giants head coaching situation, you now get to go there. And if you like Jackson Dart, you now have your franchise quarterback, and moving forward, you could take every single first round draft pick and build around them. And so I think that's why you would probably, I don't know if you would take that head coaching job to just give away a bunch of draft capital to get Joe Burrow, knowing that you got a Jackson Dart sitting on the bench. So I think you would only take that job if you liked Jackson Dart. I think that would be my take on it. And I think that's the situation with the Titans as well. So, and I like Jackson Dart. Actually, I liked him coming out of college. When we did our 3 mock drafts, and one of the mock drafts, I took Jackson Dart in the second round just to kind of help build around. But that would be my opinion. But man, I'm telling you, if Joe Burrow goes to the 49ers, my entire family except for my one brother are 49er fans. Oh my God, I'd get pissed off, because if Joe Burrow made the 49ers damn good all over again, then I'd have to hear it year in and year out. So, yeah, it'd be wild. Terry, what's going on? You're thinking the Vikings. The Vikings would be an interesting choice. Obviously they drafted McCarthy high. It just depends on how tied in, how tapped in are they into the into McCarthy. So that kind of remains to be seen. I don't know what their draft capital looks like moving forward, so that'd be interesting. Coach C, you're saying he'll go to the NFC? He might. Oh man, C, I know you're a Ravens fan. A lot of us, we need help on the offensive line. Let us know in the chat. Everybody, I coached with Coach C in Texas. He's a Ravens fan. Shout out to him. Let us know, are you guys going to let Linderbaum walk? I think he's on the last year of his contract. I think you guys have the option to either franchise tag him or just sign him to a bigger contract. Do you think your Ravens are going to let him walk? Let us know, because that name keeps popping up. I'm doing more research on free agents and prospects in the offseason, so I don't know 100%. You know what I'm saying? I think if that's a choice, but a lot of people are saying that the Ravens are going to tag him or extend him. Let us know in the chat if you think your Ravens are going to move on from him. John, hey, out of 5, if we had the first pick, do you take Mendoza or trade back? Here's my thing. I got to know what we do in the offseason. I got to know, is Pete Carroll still with us? Do we move on? Who's the next head coach? That's going to be that's going to be big for me to know, where do I go from here. That's going to be big. Also, if we have number 1, God, it would be hard to trade out of it if Pete Carroll is here. If if we have a new head coach that wants to build this thing, that wants to just start to create the foundation, then I wouldn't be completely mad if we move back. But I'm not moving back out of the top 5. Not moving back out of the top 5. Wouldn't be mad if we moved back. But if we move back, we have to keep maxxcrosby. Because if you move back, then you build draft capital. So I'd keep maxxcrosby. If you trade it back to like 3 or 4, you get more draft capital. And your board is right. You got to be able to read your board right. And then as long as you know who you want to go after, if you want to move around a little bit, again, it goes back to just trusting the process. But I want to do more research on the prospects and all that. And so I don't know just yet exactly what I would do, because I want to know, are we at 1? And 2, is Pete Carroll with us? Because I think that's going to determine a lot for me. Because if Pete Carroll's still here, that means Gino's still here. And that's just going to be very interesting how we navigate that. Let's see. Geomax in the building. What's going on, brother? If Burrow is dumb, Callahan would say, we've got to be the dumbest team in America by giving up too much with 0 in return. They would be suicidal and dysfunctional family. This body hurts. Let's see. So true. Sorry, you're saying full saying we trade back from 1 and pass on Mendoza are tripping. So I got to look at more in Mendoza. I like Mendoza, but I got to see what situation we're in right now as it relates to coaching staff. That's what I want to see first. There's a lot to like about Mendoza. I'm not going to deny that, but I want to see how it kind of plays out. I also want to see what quarterbacks don't opt into the draft. Which ones declare for the draft? There's a lot of rumors. A lot of these other quarterbacks, they're going to stay in college, right? And so I want to see just kind of how that plays out and who truly is available moving forward. But I know a lot of people like Mendoza, so I'm not tripping on that. Destroying the weights. What's going on, man? No to Joe. I got you on that. All right. Good. Let's see. Yeah, destroying. We have to give up so much for him, and he's injury prone. That is the biggest concern. We got too many holes to fill to give up that much draft capital. We do, and that's the other. It's something that I've mentioned quite a bit, right? We have 26 players are either on 1-year contracts or on the last year of their contracts. So there's going to be a lot of salary cap that's going to be allocated to just bringing guys back into this building. And, before you know it, that salary cap is going to dwindle very quickly. And it actually goes to the point, if you want to bring in Joe Burrow, then you got to bolster that offensive line. You have to. We got to bring in probably a top-tier bona fide offensive lineman, whether it be a center or guard, to help protect Joe Burrow. And if you do that, you're bringing in Joe Burrow for a crap ton of your salary cap, and then you're bringing in a high-paid offensive lineman that now can take up a good portion of your salary cap, and you have nothing else to build around him. And you want to give Joe Burrow weapons, right? Well, we have one of the worst receiver corps in the National Football League. Yeah, you hope some of these young rookies will develop, but there's nothing in stone that's saying that's going to happen based on what we've seen so far 13, 14 weeks into the season. So you're going to have to make some moves. Yes, you can get guys in the draft. That's fine, right? We could build in the draft, but the question is, are we going to be able to do that? So that's the hard part, is you bring in Joe Burrow for a massive hit to your salary cap, and then you bring in a top-paid offensive lineman that's going to be a pretty good hit to your salary cap, and now you've wasted a shit ton on 2 players. That's not how you build a roster. So we're going to have a lot to address, and we'll just kind of see how it plays out. Geomex, yeah, Joe Burrow, the Niners would be a nightmare. I know. I'd hear it from my family, because he'll probably go over there. If he stays healthy, he's going to ball out, which is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Choose finest. You're saying you guys may disagree, but I really like Gruden. He knows how to develop quarterbacks. I would bring Gruden as head coach, let him develop Mendoza, and make sure a strong GM has control of drafting. All right, man. You ready to get into this? I know we just talked about Joe Burrow. Let me look at my notes, make sure there's nothing else I want to say about Joe Burrow. Yeah, that's for the most part. All right, I covered the Joe Burrow topic. All right, we're going to talk about the head coach. I already talked about Cedric Jackson. All right, guys, what are your thoughts on bringing back Joe Burrow? John Gruden as the head coach. We're going to talk about this for just a second. Appreciate everybody in the building. Do me a favor, double tap that screen, hit the like button. I do a sub-only chat, just show my appreciation to subscribers. I have dropped some memberships if you want to get included. The things that I'm going to do for the members, just to show my appreciation, is I'm going to do a members-only live at the Tailgate against the Giants for the home game, just to kind of show you guys the Tailgate. I'll do a walk-around if you guys are up for that. If the signal or the connection's a little rough, I'll just videotape it and drop a members-only video so you guys can see it. But we're going to break down game film of some of the college prospects as well as some of the free agent prospects in the offseason. If you're a member, you can kind of throw out some suggestions, and we'll try to break down some of that game film because there's going to be a lot to go through. Because the guys that rock with us, you guys know we break down game film of our previous game every Wednesday. So tap into that, just something we could do for our members. So we definitely appreciate it. And my next giveaway is at 5,500 subscribers. I'm less than 100 away. It'll be my 15th giveaway since starting this channel. So I've done giveaways when I hit milestones with subscribers, but I also do giveaways just random. A couple of weeks ago, I hit a parlay. I said, you know what, screw it. Let's do a giveaway. And we did a giveaway on the channel. Just a way to show my appreciation to everybody that supported me through this journey, starting this channel in 2023, man. So I appreciate y'all. We're going to talk about head coach. All right, Truth's Finest, you opened up this Pandora's box. We're going to have a little bit of fun with it. You're saying, all right, Geomex, let's see. Hit that hashtag Raiders too if you can. It'll catch my eye if you're responding to this topic. You said Gruden and Carr would develop Nico. Just remember, the only thing I will say is when it comes to players that have coached that have played this game at a high level, it doesn't always translate to coaching. I'm not saying Derek Carr would be a bad coach. I actually think Derek Carr probably would be a good coach, but I've also heard the people saying like bringing Incognito to be the O-line coach. Just because you're a good player doesn't translate to being a good coach. There are things to being a coach that really good players sometimes don't understand. That's why I would say like all the greatest players, they may try to be a coach, but it doesn't always pan out because their expectations sometimes tend to be a little bit high. And that's one of the worst things you can be. That's one of the worst traits you can have as a coach is to expect a player to do something. You can never expect a player to do something. You have to coach them up to put them in the best chance of having success, to be more prepared during game and for the position that they're going to play. If you just expect them, or if you expect them to do certain things and not coach them up to do it, you're setting them up for failure. And sometimes the greater players do that because they expect players to do it because it came natural for them. It came natural for them to just succeed and produce in a certain way. And sometimes they skip some of the more crucial steps of developing and coaching players. So again, I'm not saying that like it's not possible for a coach. Again, I think Derek Carr probably could be a good coach because I think he's shown in the past just his ability to really teach up the guys around him. But again, I'm just putting in that perspective because that's why a lot of coaches don't translate well, or a lot of players, good players, great players don't translate well to coaches because sometimes they just don't see the steps needed to develop and coach them up properly. So I'm just throwing that out there. And so let me see. Let's see. Jake Long. Y'all need to see Taylon Green, a young Randall Cunningham. He puts Nico to shame out of Arkansas. All right, I'll check him out. I'll check him out for sure. Geomex. No to Gruden as a head coach, but yes to Gruden. 12% ownership. You want to give him some ownership. All right, we're going to talk about Gruden. Rorschach. Appreciate y'all, man. Yo, if I know you go above and beyond for this team. The question I have is does what you do bring you closer to the team or pulling you further away? Closer to the team in what way? I honestly think because of what I do dials me even deeper into the team more than I did before. I'll tell you right now, prior to me doing this whole content creating stuff, a lot of what I do today is the same I did before. I would break down the game film by myself. I would tap in even deeper into the all-22 just to look and go, all right, what am I missing? Why did this not work? And so I do this regularly. I also tap into the free agents that are available and the calls prospects. A lot of this I did prior to this content creating thing. I think where this brings me even closer to just to the team and not the team in the building, but just the team in the fan base and doing this is you guys open up my eyes to a different aspect at times. You guys will say something that maybe I haven't thought of. And again, I don't think of everything. I think of a lot of things. I could talk on the subject for hours, as you guys can tell. But you guys will say things that I may have just not either thought of, or you trigger my memory. I don't remember everything. You might bring something up like, oh shit, that's right, that happened, and it might alter my thought process a little bit. So if you're saying it brings me closer to like the team just emotionally, yes, without question, because I think you guys pull me closer. I think if you're maybe seeing close to the team, like in the building, because I know a lot of content creators like to come on here, and I know the bigger one, I'll throw out his name. I really don't care. Like Mitchell Renz, right? One time he was on there saying, Markdavis, call me because if you bring me into this building, I can turn this team around. You're full of shit. Like, you're a content creator. You're a baseball guy. Like that's wild. Not saying that he has like some good takes here and there, but for you to think that Markdavis needs to call you to bring you in the building, that is wild as shit. And you need to put that on the back burner, big dog. As much as my experience that I have in coaching and playing, there's no way I should be in that goddamn building. I'm just saying, because I don't have the resume. I don't have the experience. It doesn't make any sense. Can I evaluate players and evaluate talent? Yes, I can. I think I could do it pretty good. You guys have seen it. Some of you guys that tapped in with me and rocked with me, like the players that I liked in the draft are succeeding. Free agents that I liked in the draft are succeeding. The path that I would have took in multiple seasons could have panned out, but I will say there's a lot of aspects that also need to be put into play as to whether or not those players would have been good on our team. All right. And I gave the example a couple of weeks ago. I liked Will Campbell in the draft. I liked him as an offensive tackle in the draft. He's doing well at the Patriots. But the sad part is, would have done well over here with Brendan Carroll as his offensive line coach? He might have come in here and looked like absolute crap because of the coaching, and it would have made me look bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's really hard to figure out what those guys have played here. But the one way that I determine whether or not my players that I liked could potentially do well, or at least I was on the right track and evaluating their talent, is do they go to teams that draft well? Do they go to teams that have good front offices that have shown to draft good players and get the best out of them? If my players go there, then I feel like at least I was on the right track. And I'll be honest, that happens quite a bit. So if that answers your question, Warshak, again, I apologize. I could talk a lot. I know it's a little long-winded, but hopefully I answered the question. Just win, baby. You're saying hell no on Gruden. Super overrated. Set his back years and those draft picks and selections. And to the point that was put out there, right? He's saying that hopefully Gruden doesn't have full control. And I have a big point that I want to address to that. Let's see. Truce, you're saying, how was he overrated? He started 3-0 with us last year and built the coaching staff good enough. Okay. I think I don't know if you're talking about Gruden. Not sure. And I don't know if you're addressing it to somebody else. Again, throw it out there. Hit that hashtag Raiders. If you're commenting with what I'm saying, if you agree, disagree, you want to add to it, let me know. Geomax, Mrs. Just a reporter, not a diehard like us. We put in the time, fuck the Mets. And look, I'm not going to discredit what he does, and he does this for a job, right? I don't look at him doing the same thing that I do or some of these other content creators do. This is for a job. So shout to him. He does a good job, but it's his job, right? I perform that well at my job like he does with, his content in his channel. But with player evaluation, no, not at all. With understanding what's happening in a game and what should be happening moving forward, no, not at all. It's horrible. I mean, because it's his job, he has to go on. And again, it's no slight at him. It's no shot at him, but because he has to post videos every single day, if let's say we need like a corner or something like that, he'll post a video on 11 different corners that are available. And if one hits, yeah, he made a video on it because one hit. I can post a video on every single corner available and kind of tell you I told you so. No. Now, he's really good at just reporting what is happening with the Raiders. He's really good at reporting, kind of the nuances that's happening around the league. Or if there's a player that's high on people's radar and that player is, linked to this team, or that player has a history of like this is his playing history. Cool. He's really good at that. But analyzing talent and analyzing players and the schemes and stuff like that, no, not happening whatsoever. But again, it's his job. He does a good job at his job. Rorschach, thank you for answering my question. You've seen me move around on other shows. I'm a fan, but not as knowledgeable as you and others. But I do appreciate what you do. Got a lot of respect. No, I appreciate you, man. And look, keep rolling, because I do try to bring just my knowledge, but at the same time, man, you guys remind me of certain things that have happened. You guys definitely bring knowledge to me as well that either helps me kind of sharpen my point at times. So I love everybody that taps in. Appreciate y'all. So here's my take on Gruden. I'm going to get that banner off because we're talking about something different. Shout out to everybody, man. Double tap that screen. Definitely appreciate y'all. Silver and Black Shield, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking in. The question was, bring Gruden back and as the head coach, have Derek Carr as the quarterback coach, make sure Gruden stays away from the draft process. That was the question. Here's my response to that, and it's going to be a little long-winded. I'll take the last take. Geomex, Mitch wants a loss. Also, the only thing is, and again, he's doing it for a job. The ratings work for him. So what he's going to do is he's going to, again, no knock to him. It's just what he has to do for ratings. Is he will do what is best for ratings, not necessarily what's best. And he's mentioned it before. He said it on whatever live or whatever. He said, like, moving on from Pete Carroll or bringing in Mendoza would be great for his ratings, and it would be. So shout out to him. Like he wants what's good for his ratings. The number one draft pick will be good for his ratings. So that's what he's going to rock with. And he's going to rock with what's popular. You know what I'm saying? And so again, it's because he does it for a job. So it's not a knock on him. That's what he does it for. I'm telling you, this is why I'd never want to do it for a job. Because if it was my job, I don't know, who knows? I might be doing the same thing. Not for this Raider stuff, but it is what it is. So, and that's just the truth. I'm sorry. All right. So, John Gruden, guys, that's the topic. If you guys want to give me your feedback on it, let me know. Hit that hashtag Raiders. So, John Gruden. You can't overlook the draft process, right? Obviously, there's all the reports that came out that he was handling the early rounders. Mike Mayock was handling the late rounders. I also did not like the free agents that Gruden brought in. Trent Brown, the offensive tackle. He brought in, shout out to LS. I thought we traded for Trent Brown, but I was wrong. LS corrected me. We brought in Trent Brown. He didn't work out at all. We brought in Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown played us. I am a firm believer that he never wanted to play for us. The helmet situation was absolute crap. And then when it was announced that we basically cut him and he lost $31 million, he went in the backyard, his backyard, and jumped around and celebrated. I don't know who celebrates by losing $31 million guaranteed money. And he's on the first flight out to the Patriots, and he's on the practice field with the helmet, with no helmet issue. I think without question, he played John Gruden because John Gruden was so vocal in years prior that he loved Antonio Brown. So that was Antonio Brown's only way to get away from the Steelers and then eventually get to the Patriots because the Patriots were never going to give up draft capital for Antonio Brown, and we were the only dumb team to do it, and we gave the draft capital to the Steelers. So many mistakes, so many bad draft picks, especially early draft picks that really never panned out. There were a couple good ones. Kolton Miller was a good one. Josh Jacobs was a good one. But then the handling of Kolton BACK trade, right? I hate the fact that we traded away Kolton BACK, but then we all know what happened with those draft picks. Not good. I wasn't a fan of John Gruden's play calling. I struggled with his play calling. I struggled with some just how predictable he was at times, and it wasn't all the time. It was mainly on short yardage. The amount of fullback dives that John Gruden ran was mind-boggling. The way that he set up the fullback dives. I counted 12 fullback dives on 3rd and 1, on 4th and 1 by week. I want to say it was like week 14. It was 12 fullback dives, and 2 of them he actually motioned Josh Jacobs out of the backfield. So now you know it's a fullback dive. The situation that I didn't like was we were actually down by a touchdown. We needed a touchdown to potentially get back into the game, and it was 3rd and goal from the 7, and he ran a tight end screen with Jason Witten. With Jason Witten is not going to, and you're in short yardage. It's not like it's 3rd and 13, middle of the field, where now all the defensive backs are dropping 20, 25, 30 yards downfield. It's short yardage. It's in the goal line. You're 3rd and 7 inside the 10-yard line. And the only reason why he ran the wide receiver screen was because Witten needed a catch to keep his, a catch every game streak going. And that's what basically lost us the game. And so when he did that, it pissed me off. And so I just wasn't sold on his play calling as a whole. Now, did we progressively get a little bit better? I think we did. But it was going to be short-lived. The success that we saw with John Gruden was going to be short-lived because you weren't drafting well. And I'm a firm believer that the only way that you can find consistent success in the National Football League is if you draft well. Because top paid free agents, their contracts expire. And you're going to have to go and dump more money into top end free agents if you don't draft well. And you had draft picks like Antonio Brown. You had, who was that? Corey Littleton. Well, I mean, we dropped everything for that guy. I mean, and that didn't work out. And so I think there was a Joyner, the safety. I believe that was John Gruden. That didn't work out. So there was just so much that went wrong that, yes, we got a little bit better, but I think that progress was going to be short-winded because when you don't hit on your draft picks, you're going to rely on free agency to find success, and that's not a recipe for success. Yeah, could you have a good season or two? You could with top-tier free agents, but you're never going to win a Super Bowl, most likely. I'm not saying never. Sorry, I take that back. But it will be very, very short-lived success because you can't continuously build through free agency. You have to build through the draft, and his draft picks are horrible. That's one thing. I got another reason why I would not bring in John Gruden in here. Let me just take a look at the chat before I get to that next one. And as I get to the next one, do me a favor, double tap that screen. I am going to do a quick refill, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm having the first drink of this Saturday with y'all, man. Let me do a quick refill as I rock out with you guys. And I'm going to check my text messages just in case the wife isn't text messaging me and I'm missing on something. All right, cool. Never mind. I'm good. I'm still good, guys. The wife is off. She's doing something with the kids. I had the house to myself, so I said, you know what? Why not? Jump on here, rock out with the nation. Let's do a little bit of a live, have a little bit of fun. Hopefully you guys are appreciating it. And we talking about John Gruden. We were talking about John Gruden. And you guys are cheering me up. I lost my over-under bet. I had the 65.5 over, and I think I lost that on the Army-Navy game, but that's all good. I will say, when it comes to betting, and I don't bet big at all. When it comes to betting, bet what you're willing to lose. That whole Dave Portnoy crash out situation, that's on you. That's on you. Bet what you're willing to lose, and if you're not willing to lose it, then don't bet. That's your goddamn problem in the first place. So that's just me. That's just my opinion. So all right, pour that next drink. I'm going to get into the chat here in just a second. Appreciate y'all. Double tap that screen. Hit that hashtag Raiders. If you want to get in the chat, hit that sub button. Let me go back. Let's see. Rorschach, you're saying no on Burrow and Gruden. All right, we need to hire a young coach and let him cook with SpyTek. I can get on board with that. Retreads don't work here. Okay, and I got another reason that I've said this in the past, but I haven't heard anybody else really say it, but it's just my take on it, and it might go towards that young head coach comment. GeoMax hashtag, I want Gruden hired as an ombudsman to fire Carroll's kids. Oh, man. I don't know. We still got Deuce Gruden in the building, so maybe Deuce Gruden will become a problem. Who knows? Let's see. KT, what's going on? Appreciate you. Easy to say QB was a bad move in hindsight. His play calling killing us to the playoffs. What? Hold on, my bad. His play calling got us to the playoffs. Wasn't it still his playbook? Okay. It was still a portion of his playbook, yes. Because you can't switch up the playbook that easily. It's still his scheme, right? And so, I can't tell you exactly what it was truly, what got us to the playoffs. And look, like I was saying, you could make it to the playoffs. All right. One thing I will say is, I hate the way that John Gruden went out. I 110 disagree with how John Gruden went out. The emails were bad, and that's not good at all. But for an investigation to be on the Commanders, and John Gruden's the one that gets handed down something is wild, right? The emails and what were said on there is a completely different subject, but I just disagree that he was the one that got attacked and not anybody else. Now, if it was a group of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure he wasn't the only person in the email saying some stupid shit. But if it was a group of people that shit got handed down to, okay, cool, got it. You know what I'm saying? But it was just Gruden. It felt like it was more targeted, and I hate that's the way that he went out. Even though I wasn't a fan of what he did. But even if he did make the playoffs, I still am a firm believer that it was going to be short-winded because we weren't building well through the draft. We just weren't. And it's going to catch up. It was going to catch up to you when now your free agents are done. Your top-tier free agents. You're going to have dead money you have to deal with. You're not building well through the draft. You're not developing young talent that's now going to be able to help you. So, could have been, but I think it was going to be short-winded. Let's see. Jake Long. Gruden's the best we had since Art Shell and Jack. Yeah, Jack had a good season, so bring Gruden or Jack. Let's see. KT, everybody hires their friends for the most part, or people they're familiar with, or they hire family, like Pete Carroll, and now we got his sons. My goodness. Seagate, what's going on, man? Preach. People who want Chucky don't realize how outdated he was. Same with Pete now. I got another reason why I don't like him. Kevin Lucker, no Pete. Gruden's or Carroll's. Let's see. Silver and Black Shield, what's going on, brother? Let's see. Oh, man, I got to read this. Dre and Ray Heyman. Hopefully I got it right. Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza. Oh, man, I got to know if Dante Moore is even going to come out. I got to know where we are draft pick wise. I got to do more research, and I know I've said that a lot, but I do. I think it's a toss-up at this point because there's a lot to like about Mendoza. Don't get me wrong. And I think what Mendoza shows when it comes to kind of his arm strength and the throws that he can make are a little bit better than Dante Moore. I think Dante Moore is going to be more versatile. I think you can do more things with Dante Moore as it relates to moving the pocket. I don't think Mendoza is going to be as mobile as people think in the NFL. I've heard people literally say that he could be like Josh Allen. I don't see that at all. I think Mendoza is going to be good enough to extend the play, move around the pocket, make some things happen. Maybe on a third and short, he might be able to get on with his legs, but I don't think he's going to be the runner that everybody thinks he's going to be. Where I think Dante Moore just possesses more of that. But I think Dante Moore kind of has accuracy issues at times. And so that's just my first assessment. I can't tell you where I take him right now or who I take over. I got to do more research. But I appreciate you popping in here, man. Silver and Black Shield, if we bring back old head coaches, I want Jack Del Rio. Truth's Finest, you like Mendoza. Money Chuck, when I see anybody wants Gruden back, I question their morals. It doesn't matter what he said. I'm with you. I was not a fan at all of what he said. What you see in those emails. I wasn't a fan. Let's see. Let me just keep going. All right, let's see. All right, I'm kind of down to the bottom. All right. And last one, then I'm going to give you my extra take. Larry, appreciate you. Gruden brought in maxxcrosby. Yes, he did. But if the reports are true, or Max was more of a Mike Mayock pick, then he technically didn't bring him in, or at least it wasn't John Gruden's evaluation. Again, that's just if the reports are true. You're saying Gruden knows how to spot talent, so yes, Gruden. Diego Raiders, I think Diego Pavia, I think you're saying. I wouldn't say Gruden knows how to spot talent, at least consistently. A lot, like if you just look at what worked and what didn't, a lot did not work whatsoever, and there's a lot that was truly tied to Gruden. AB tied to Gruden. He just did. It's not that AB wasn't good. He just didn't understand. Like he got played, so he couldn't read it right. They're saying that the first few rounds were John Gruden. I think the Lynn Bowden Jr. pick was John Gruden because John always talked about a joker in his offensive system, and that's what he brought in Lynn Bowden Jr. for. And before, he got traded before he could even get to practice. We traded him, so you basically just wasted a third round draft pick. That was the wildest thing. And so I think you can definitively say less worked out than it actually did. So I'm just gonna throw that there. I'm not sure if he's the best eye for talent, in my opinion. So here's my take. I'm gonna start this one. I'll get to the rest of the chat. I see everybody throwing stuff in there. The reason why I don't want John Gruden is one, I want the chain of command to be right. And again, it's something I've heard a lot of people say. I did say it one time on another live. You got John Spytek. John Spytek, and this is actually, even though I have my top head coaches that I want to come in, the veteran head coaches, this isn't just an issue with John Gruden, even though John Gruden has more say. Some people have talked about Mike Tomlin, right? Mike Tomlin would probably be on like the fourth or fifth on my list of head coaches to bring in if we don't miss on some of the younger head coaches. I like an offensive-minded head coach. If we had to go defensive, young mind, Brian Flores, I do like before Mike Tomlin. But that's a whole nother topic. But I think Mike Tomlin, if you bring in someone like that, John Spytek is a young GM that's in his second year of being a GM. There's a lot that he has to learn. I would be afraid that Mike Tomlin would come in just like I think Pete Carroll did. And he would basically be like, hey, young buck, I know what I'm doing. I've been around the block. I like this guy. You better pick this guy. I think he would have more demand in what should happen than what I want the head coach to have. I want the GM to play his role properly and have the proper chain of command to where the head coach basically feeds up to the GM, where the GM oversees that head coach position, and now that head coach can be held accountable. That's what I want. That's my biggest concern with Mike Tomlin. As much as I think if Mike Tomlin had changed his scenery and now could build something, he might do. I think he would do well. There's no reason why I wouldn't think he would do well. But I think he would just have way too much command, like I think Pete Carroll had, because Spytek is a young GM. That's partially what I think Gruden would do. I think Gruden would come in and he would basically demand certain things out of a young GM and say, look, I know what I'm doing. This is who I want. This is who you better go get. That's part of it. But one of the main reasons why I would not want John Gruden is because in the first stint of John Gruden has, like, Mark Davis has the utmost respect for John Gruden. If John Gruden came back in here, it's because Mark Davis wanted him in. It's not because anybody else wanted him in. It's like Pete Carroll wanting Geno. If John Gruden came back, it's because Mark Davis wants him back. And Mark Davis would think, you got screwed over. That last stint, the NFL came after you, and we're going to prove the NFL wrong. That's the only reason why I think Mark Davis would want John Gruden back, is to basically give you a big screw you to the NFL and say, I can make this work with John Gruden. And if that's the case, you can kiss John Spytek's job and just control goodbye. If John Gruden goes to if Gruden goes to Spytek and says, I like this guy, and Spytek says, no, I'm not a big fan, who do you think John Gruden's going to run to? John Gruden is going to go to Mark Davis's ear because he's got all the respect in the world. And he's going to say, hey, you better check this young guy. This is who I want. He's saying no, you better make it happen. And watch Mark Davis go make it happen. And now John Spytek no longer has the role of GM. Mark Davis or John Gruden will have the ear of Mark Davis so goddamn deep that Spytek won't be able to conduct his job properly. And he will not be able to hold John Gruden accountable. And for the comment before about saying that just don't let John Gruden have anything to do with the draft, I don't see that happening whatsoever. I think that there's a damn good chance John Gruden would get every guy he wanted if he came back. And I think that's a dangerous thing to happen. So, guys, let me know if I'm wrong. Hit that hashtag Raiders. Let me know if I'm wrong. But that would be my biggest fear, is that John Gruden would have every inch of Mark Davis's ear, and he'll bypass John Spytek on any decision he disagrees with. And that's my biggest concern. Let's see. Dre, Mac brought in Max again. Maybe, but again, it's just to the reports. Raider Jones, yep, Gruden, John, he brought in Josh Jacobs, 100%. And I kind of take this stuff, and it's, you can agree or disagree with me on this comment, but if you look at the body of what John Gruden did, the body of work between free agents, between draft picks and stuff, I kind of use the analogy a little bit, and I know it's a little bit extreme, but maybe you can rock with me on this. It's like a Ponzi scheme, right? Someone can steal $10 million from a group of people, but if that guy donates $2 million, there's going to be a small group of people be like, yeah, but he donated $2 million to us. So you could do some good things, but the body of work is not good at all. Might be a little bit of extreme analogy or example, but the body of work of John Gruden, yes, he did some good things. Don't get me wrong, right? But the body of work tells me he was not a good eye for talent. And unfortunately, it just didn't, a lot of what he brought in just did not work. So you could look at some good things, but the mass majority is not very good. Yeah, Farrell was Gruden. Just one baby, Mike Mack. Yeah, according to the reports, it looks like it was Mack that got Max. Yeah, Mac, Hunter Renfro. Yeah. All right, Money Chuck. Let's see. If the cops got called for a crime, that person got away, and they arrested somebody else doing the crime and arrested them, would you cry foul? Let me do this again. If the cops got called for a crime, that person got away, and they arrested somebody else doing a crime and arrested them, would you cry foul? Would I cry foul if I was the one that was convicted? I mean, typically nobody would, right? Typically nobody would. If I did something illegal and someone got popped for it, am I going to go to the station? I mean, I don't do stuff illegal, so I don't. I most likely, I don't know what I would say, but typically, just in general, people won't go. people will not go and admit to their crimes. Raider Jones, Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh wouldn't be my first choice. And again, I look at the body of work in the NFL and just the experience that you have in the NFL. He wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I'd take, if we went defensive minded first, I would take Robert Flores because of his history in the NFL, the experiences he has. Robert Saleh is close. Again, I wouldn't be mad at it. But I think I might take Brian Flores before Robert Saleh. But I do know a lot of people like Robert Saleh. Let's see. Megalodon. Gruden closed his eyes and picked Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama players. Cleveland Farrell. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, God. Conley. Yeah. Conley was a rough one. Garyon Conley. That was a rough one. The Henry Ruggs, man. Like, I don't blame him on Henry Ruggs. Like, it's just a shit situation. So many players. Like, I don't want to say so many, but players do stupid things. Josh Jacobs got popped for a little something. I mean, Charles Snowden got popped. Henry Ruggs, he did something stupid, but you don't draft him thinking that he was going to do something stupid. So I don't put them on him necessarily on Gruden, but yeah, rough. Not a good decision at all. And Mike Check, you're right. I mean, the historical values, yes. And the emails were not a good look. And so I'm with you. And I know that's how you feel. You've definitely voiced that plenty of times. And I rock with you with that. All right, see, DPL. What's happening, man? Good seeing you. I don't see anything good coming from bringing Gruden back. The NFL would screw the Raiders even more than they do now. Draft-wise, trading back should be an option, number one option. And you kind of set us up, right? I mean, if the NFL is to go after Gruden and if Mark Davis brings Gruden back, if he does, or if he even considers it, and one of the reasons why you do that is because you want to get the NFL back, you want to prove that Gruden will work, watch the NFL do some shit and screw us over. You know what I'm saying? So you just kind of bring that drama in the building, which is like, nah, I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that. So I'm with you. And Dre, yeah, see, and that's it, right? The optics are rough. And we need nothing. We need nothing to go against us in this path to fixing this thing. We need all the chips to fall in place. We need every domino to fall correctly. If you bring in something that already causes drama or has the potential to cause drama with the NFL, you're already creating a kink in the chain. And so I think that's why. Just stay away. And obviously I have my other reasonings that I just stated, but definitely stay away, in my opinion. All right, let's see. John Pellin, everybody get off the John Gruden thing. He isn't any good anymore. Better young minds out there. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I do think that there's some good young minds, and that's the route I'd like to go. God. The Tanner Muse pick, man. See, it is the thing, right? And just when it's a Ponzi scheme, man. We're throwing out so many names, the Tanner Muse and stuff like that. It's like, all right. And again, I'm not saying, John Gruden brought in all those guys, but it's like, it's the 80-20 rule. I've said it most of the time. And John Gruden, you could probably look at 80% of the picks that between draft and free agency that he brought in did not work out. And maybe 20% did. And that's not a good ratio. Raider News Central, what's happening, man? Appreciate you popping in here. All right, let's see. KT Ruggs was the baller, and I hated the fact that happened because I do think Ruggs had a lot of potential. He had a lot of potential. Him and Carr really started connecting, and I'm not going to bring up the Carr situation, but it's like I think you started to see that connection. All of a sudden, bang, that happens, and then you have the Devontae Adams situation. Carr, they gelled. Obviously the second year it started off a little rough, but bang, everything gets ripped up. And so, but I was hoping Carr could or Ruggs could have stuck around because it looked like there was a connection there that was popping off. But because all the bad draft picks outside of that and free agent acquisitions, I just think it was going to be short-winded. All right. So, all right, guys. Last one. Last topic. Still got the drink rolling. We're going to go for a little bit. Man, I've been on here for 2 hours and 40 minutes. This is wide. This is wild. Appreciate everybody. Make sure you double tap that screen if you can. I definitely appreciate you. Oh, I see. I don't know how long ago it was. All right. My daughter is actually in the other chat. Appreciate you, baby girl. I see you. Sorry, I'm not looking at the other chat. I'm looking at this one. But I see you, baby girl. Love you. So let's do this. We're going to bring up the last topic, and then we're going to get out of here. Salute to everybody. Double tap that screen. Hit that sub button if you want to get included in the chat. My next giveaway, 5,500 subscribers. If you want to be included, hit that sub button. If you want to become a member, shout to LS. Appreciate you. You're a member, man. I appreciate you. My first one. Appreciate everybody else that's a member in here. I am going to do some member-only lives with the tailgates. And if you guys want to see some player breakdowns on some draft prospects, maybe some free agents, if you're a member, you can throw out some suggestions. I'll do my best to try to get that content, or at least the game film, and we'll break it down in the offseason. We're going to have a little bit of fun. All right. Last topic, and we're going to get out of here. All right. Let's go. Expectations for Sunday versus the Eagles, guys. I know there's some people that still want us to win. There's still some people that are all about getting that number one draft pick. Right? I think all of us want to be competitive. I'd like to be a competitive game. I don't want to see us go and just get absolutely blown out, right? But I'm gonna hit you with my expectations or what I want to see moving forward. I think I just tapped the screen. Hold up, bang. I'm gonna hit you with my expectations, what I want to see on Sunday, and it really has nothing to do. Kenny Pickett, he's gonna go out. Let me know how you guys think Kenny Pickett's gonna do. I know a lot of people think that he's going to go out and maybe do some good things. The storyline is there between the Eagles and Kenny Pickett in the history. The storyline's there. Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett. He's had plenty of opportunities to kind of showcase who he is, right? So I'm not really concerned that Kenny Pickett's all of a sudden going to come out there and break the bricks off of the Eagles defense. Some people have gone out and said that, Kenny Pickett kind of knows the Eagles because he was there last year. There is some merit to it, but here's my only thing I'll say to that is Kenny Pickett. We know what Kenny Pickett is. Kenny Pickett's not going to come over and all of a sudden just rip apart a defense and tear apart a defense, right? Vic Fangio is a very good defensive coordinator and has proven to be a very good defensive coordinator in the National Football League for years. I don't see a world where Kenny Pickett all of a sudden tears apart a Vic Fangio defense. I'm going to put my money on Vic Fangio, knowing Kenny Pickett more and prepping his players to understand Kenny Pickett and what he wants to do and his weaknesses and exposing that. Now, in the same breath, the only thing that I will say is historically you will see backup quarterbacks come in and find a little bit of success. And so could he come in and pop off and get 21, 24 points? It could happen. But the likelihood of it happening, very slim to none. All right, you saw, and I give the example, like last year, home opener, Andy Dalton, he comes in and just fires away. The Red Rocket was on point. Throws for, I think, 3 touchdowns. We get blown out by the Carolina Panthers. It happens. Backup quarterbacks can come in and they can show some flashes. But then they get brought down back to earth. And that very easily can happen to Kenny Pickett. But I'm going to put my money that Vic Fangio is going to have a pretty decent game plan compared to what Kenny Pickett has shown his career. So I'm not too concerned. Away game, outdoors, in Philly, where it's extremely cold, and it's not just Kenny Pickett performing, it's can the rest of these players perform in the cold? We're a dome team going to Philadelphia. Can these players as a whole on offense perform in the cold where the Eagles are used to it? They got veterans on that team. They're used to it. So it's going to be, without question, an uphill battle. And I just don't think Kenny Pickett I'm not sure if Kenny Pickett really is going to be able to perform extremely well enough to win us out this game But if we do pull off a win, which I don't want to see, if we do pull off a win, I see it being like a 17-19 type of game, just a low scoring game. That's what I see. But I do have other expectations outside of the scoreboard, outside of Kenny Pickett. And so before I give you that real quick, let me see. How are you going to do that all 22 calls tape? Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now. Because we have moved to this vertical, and what I do for the all 22, because remember when we tried to do the all 22 in the landscape mode and they basically shut the stream down? We moved it to vertical so they don't shut the stream down, but they do demonetize the video. All right, so they demonetize it, and we don't make anything, which isn't much, so it doesn't really matter. But they demonetize the video. But because we could do it that way, what I'm going to do is just take the YouTube. I'm going to find the YouTube videos of them, all the throws, all that stuff. It's not going to necessarily be the all 22 exactly, but it's going to be just the people that clip up the games on YouTube, and I'm just going to screenshot that. I'm going to screen record that and bring it up. And so that's kind of how I'm going to do it. And I think I could do it that way. Shouldn't be a problem. And so that's how we're going to work it out. So we'll see how that works. Geomex, Eagles 31-30. If we put up 31 points, that's going to be well. Unless I fully expect to be disappointed by a freaking Raiders win. I know. It's any given Sunday, and I'll tell you right now, they're all professionals, and shit could happen. Hope the young guys play well. Art is going to go to my next point. We always play good against the Eagles this year, though we might lose by a billion. We'll see. That Eagles offense is struggling, but I'll tell you right now, if our history tells us anything, we could be the team to set a spark off. We all know that. Kevin Lurker, are we going to wear white uniforms? I bet you we do. I bet you we use. Man, what are those? What do they call those? Like the color out jerseys or the color rush jerseys? I know those are mainly like Thursday night games, but I think it's the white jerseys with the silver numbers. Those are pretty sick. LS, I expect Booker to absolutely ball out with two solo tackles. With two solo tackles. We'll see. He's going against his veteran, his old team that traded him away, and I'll be curious to see just kind of how Ty Robinson does. Ty Robinson was the D tackle I wanted in the fourth round, third or fourth round. He was one of my top defensive tackles because I wanted to get one in the later rounds. And Ty Robinson, he's going to be out there, so I'm going to be curious to see just kind of how he plays. Definitely want to see how he rolls. Dre. Kenny Pickett will throw to Jack Besh. We'll see, and it kind of goes to one of the points I'm going to be looking for. LS, I do genuinely believe Besh will have his first 100 game this week. All right. We'll see how that works out. Young DB, what's going on? Eagles going to win by 14 easily. Number one pick. I hope so. I hope so, man. I do. Dre, we're always the get right team to play. Yeah, we are. We are. I want to see the young players get experience. Nothing else matters. John Fallon, PFF had Kelly Rogers as the best O-line last week. Yeah, PFF is hard to judge, but we broke down his game film, and I looked at the game film every single snap, and he had a hell of a game last week, and that's not it. Even though there was a backup defensive lineman on that Broncos front, the thing is he still performed when he was going against Zach Allen. He still did well. And so I like it. I like it. I like what I saw. Definitely something to build off of. Let's see. Dre, take Devin White and Atlanta Roberts out and play Tommy Eichenberg and the all-around linebacker we drafted. We'll see if we get some playing time. We will see. Jake Long, 28-16 Eagles. Let's see. Pickett, debut win. Oh, man. LS, imagine we win all 4 games remaining and end up with the 14th pick. Man, if we win all 4, I don't know what that pick would be, but I think it might drop us back bad. And good luck. We pick 14. Ain't no coach want to come over here. Oh, man. I promise you, I promise you. Okay, everything. I never watch NFL again. I know. And your whole shit and slap comment still got me. God damn it, LS. Talk about the young guys. One of the things, okay, what do I expect to see tomorrow? What do I expect to see, and what do I want to see? Again, we talked about Kenny Pickett. What up, Jason? What's happening, brother? Appreciate you popping here, guys. Make sure you guys go head over to Jason's channel, man. They hit you guys. Jason, let everybody know if you're doing your Sunday morning live. I know you guys go live on Sunday mornings. Definitely put it in the chat. Let everybody know that you're doing it. Things I expect to see. There's things that I want to see. There's things I expect to see. What I want to see, I would like to see Jack Bech get involved early. Because if he gets involved early, that tells me that he's getting open. The problem with last week, the problem with the last game was Jack Bech, all of his catches came in garbage time for the most part. The defense is playing off of them. They're giving the distance. They don't want to get beat deep. That's why Cedric Jackson's touchdown was so impressive, because he's going against a defense that is trying to play deep and keep everything in front, and he exposed it. He did a very good job. The first two catches that Jack Bech had, the first one was basically into the third quarter during a broken coverage. Okay, defense did him a favor, and then the second one was he sat down in soft zone. Good job finding the soft zone. I'll give him the credit, but it was an underneath route. Everything after that was in garbage time. So if I want to see Jack Bech, if he is going to continue to grow, if he's going to continue to show improvement, I want to see him getting catches early. I want to see him being able to get open in situations that aren't predictable, where the defense is giving you the route. So that's definitely what I want to see. I'd love to see Caleb Rogers start the entire game. I don't know if Jordan Meredith is playing. I'd be really curious to see what they do with the offensive line. Dylan Parham did come off of a good game. I hate to say it. It hurts me to say. But he did come off of a good game last week. It was his best game that he's had in the last season and a half that I've been breaking down game film. So, look, sometimes you get a good game. It just happens. But Alice Capel will most likely be the center. And if Dylan Parham goes back to his normal play style, this offensive line this D line might have an absolute field day with us. So I think that's going to be tough. But I definitely want to see Caleb Rogers get out there. I want to see him play. We talked about Kolton Miller. He's obviously out this game, but Charles Grant, I'd like to see him get a little bit of burn. If he does, get him in for a couple reps. Again, that's only if you prepare him as a coach. If you prepare him as a coach and understand that his mindset is right going into the game, where he's okay to make mistakes. It's time to build and learn off those mistakes. This is the time to do it. I'd be okay if the coaches put him in with the right mindset, but I really don't trust his coaching staff. So I definitely want to see some of the younger players play. And it goes to my point. Cedric Jackson better have a 70-30 snap ratio with Tyler Lockett. I want to see Cedric Jackson 70% of the time on this field. I want to see what he has. I want to see what he brings this receiver core, because right now we have the worst receiver core in the National Football League. I want to see what he brings. So let's see the kid. Let's see what he can do, and maybe we can prioritize him as soon as the season's over, or the moment we can sign him or get him into this building. Let's pull the trigger and let's get him onto this roster, because if he can do what we showed and broke down on Wednesday, the route running ability that he has shown, that's more than I've seen with Deontay Thornton all season long. If this kid can show that he's got the route running ability to match that speed, that's something I definitely want to see. And so I'm really just focused on the young players. Flip to the defensive side. I want to see Darian Porter. We showed some really good plays at Darian Porter last week on the game film. And if he can continue with the disciplined play, the good positioning in zone coverage, and he's going to be going against some good players. Right? He's going to go against AJ Brown. If we continue to run that cover three, he might get matched up with some of the other good receivers. The other kids I'm blanking on him right now, but he's going against some good talent. I want to see Darian Porter get some burn out there, really do a good job staying on top of receivers, staying on their hips, reading zones right, and just continue to grow. So I'm looking out. I'm looking out for the youngsters, man, because at this point going forward, I think that's what we got to build on and see what we got. So, free Trey Tucker, been open all year. Dre, if you've rocked out with me, you know the one thing is when Jacoby Myers left, I knew Trey Tucker's just his potential was going to fall off dramatically once Jacoby Myers was out the building. Trey Tucker's not a number one. He's not a number one. He's not a number two. You got to use him correctly. And when Jacoby Myers left and we traded him away, I knew Trey Tucker was not going to perform because we're not using him in the best of his ability and in the right way. And that's why I knew this offense was going to completely go flat because it was going to be arguably the worst receiver core in the National Football League. And I said this start of the season because of all the trade talks with Jacoby Myers. You trade him away, and if Deontay Thornton and Jack Bech do not perform like they should, it's going to be a wrap for Trey Tucker. And that's kind of what we're seeing now. LS, Jack Bech is a better receiver than he gets credit for. If Geno actually threw the ball when he was open, he'd probably have 500 yards a season. So I went back. I do have some clips. I don't know if I could bring them up right now. I did take a look at Jack Bech and his route running, and he does struggle to get separation enough. There was a dig route into the end zone going it's hard to describe what direction. There was a dig route that he was open. I think Geno ended up going to the back end of the opposite side of the end zone. That was one play. He did get open. And hopefully Geno would have thrown the ball because he would have got open. There's a couple others where he just could not get separation. One was on Surtain, which it's Surtain. The other one was on the opposite corner. He struggled to get separation. But I agree that in some cases they just don't use them right. And I showcased one of them last Wednesday. Is a lot of snaps they use them in rub routes and pick routes, and it's hit or miss if you're going to be able to get separation. Now there's a way you can run those rub routes and pick routes to help yourself out to get position and then get separation. He's got to work on that, but they are using him in a lot of those scenarios, which is tough for him to consistently get open. So I want to continue to see from now until the end of the season. I want to see just how does he do in route running? Is he getting open to have an opportunity? But truth be told, when Lockett was signed, I was pissed off that we signed Lockett. And I don't know if you remember me saying this in other lives. I was pissed off when we signed Lockett because that told me right then and there that Lockett is going to steal opportunities from Jack Bech and Deontay Thornton. That's exactly what that was. Because when you trade away Jacoby Myers, I was like, okay, time to build on the young guys. Time to see what these young guys got. And the moment you brought in Tyler Lockett, you knew he was stealing targets. And I hated it. Now, I don't have much faith in Jack Bech. I'm not a big fan. I didn't like the pick in the second round. I'm not a big fan of what he brings as a well-rounded receiver, but I want to see him get his opportunities. And I knew Tyler Lockett was going to steal reps. He was going to steal targets, and that's what's happening, which actually does piss me off. He goes, what I really want to see is Jack Bech utilize the blocking game with some of the outside zone runs. And he has tried. They have tried to use him that way. The majority of routes, or the majority of his snaps, they actually have motioned him inside to work more on the blocking scheme. It hasn't been necessarily at the point of attack, but a lot of times he's kind of sealing off the back end, or he's slicing over to get the edge rusher on the opposite side, and he hasn't done the best job of it. But he's a rookie. He has time to learn. But I know coming out of college, a lot of people touted him as just a really good run blocker. And I'm not saying he's not, but I definitely want to see him work more at it and get more involved and see if we could use him better in that way if he can grow into that position. He says, you know damn well that Shedrick is only getting 10 snaps. Pete is in desperation mode. God damn it, if it happens, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed. I am going to be pissed. Bo's nephew got potential. He does. I just want to see more. I want to see what potential he has and how further he can bring it. LS, Pete's like that friend on the corner trying to trade you for his one shoe for some rocks. Man, he'll do anything to win right now. I know. I think that's the Colton Miller thing. All right, GeoMax, hashtag, if the defense shows out and Pickett does do his job to win, Carroll ain't going nowhere. I don't know. You might be right. I can't say either way. You might be right. I just don't know what Mark Davis is thinking. Right. I have no clue what he's thinking. I'm not sure just kind of how that's all going to work out. Because you also have all those reports now. They're basically saying, well, Mark Davis, he's tightened all these contracts. He doesn't want to spend more money on a head coach, and so is he just desperately going to just keep Pete Carroll if Pete Carroll shows any sign of improvement? And the thing is it's like right now the improvement is going from like an F, an F minus to an F plus. How much is improvement right now, given all the dysfunction that we've had up to this point? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hard part, is like, is Mark Davis just going to hold on just to hold on? I have no clue, man. PDL, man, becoming a member. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. And for the members, I'm going to do some lives in the tailgate for that Giants game. And we are going to do some player breakdowns for free agents and college prospects. And members, you're going to just send me some suggestions. I'm going to write them down, and I'm going to try to find as much as I can. The free agent NFL prospects are easier to find because I got access to all 22. But the college ones, I can find it. It's just a matter of how much can I find. So, but I appreciate you becoming a member, big dog. Appreciate you. So let's see. This was Pete trying to win his way. Yeah, maybe Jake Long. If Chris Bell declaring for the draft, we need to get him at receiver. I want Carlos Tate, but Tate is a first rounder, and we need a quarterback. I know Carlos Tate is, I believe he is the Ohio State kid. I haven't looked at Chris Bell too much. I know that there's that Arizona State kid that's out there. I've heard people say that he's got some drop issues. Jordan, I think his name is. I want to do more work, research on him, just as it relates to receivers, because we got to get a true number one. Dante Thornton ain't it. Jack Besh. Again, I got to see more of Jack Best in these next few games just to figure out where are we at with this receiver core. But either we draft one, we bring one in free agency. It's not always about bringing the top guy in. It's just how you navigate free agency. It's how you navigate the offseason. And it's going to be interesting to see just kind of how it rolls. Carnell Tate definitely goes top 10. All right. I've watched him a little bit. I do like what I see. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's a taller receiver. Again, I got to do more research, but I think the size, the speed is there without question. Just want to watch more tape. So, all right, guys. Hey, I'm going to get out of here. Over 3 hours, man. Man, sometimes I'm telling you, I come on here and I think, man, can I do like an hour? Is there enough? But I think I should know myself already. The more and more you guys ask questions, I can talk on topics all day, every day. I've done this with my dad. We'll talk football all the time. Even though he's a 49er fan, I coached with my dad, for a lot of years. And him and I have had plenty of, we conversate about football every single week. My best friends that are Raider fans, we talk all the time for hours. And I should know I could be able to come on here and talk quite a bit. So I've been rocking for 3 hours solo. I hope I addressed as many questions as I could, or at least brought you guys up on screen just to kind of show my appreciation for being a sub, being in the chat, but at the same time, just throwing some questions out there and keeping this thing rolling, man. I definitely appreciate it. Let's see. Let's see. Jake Long. Buckeyes fan, yeah, 6'3". Yeah, I thought he was definitely had some good height to him, which is good. Silver and Black Radio Podcast, what's going on, brother? Hey, make sure you guys go over there, show some support, show some love. I think Jason said that they're going live at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Definitely go over there. Shout out to Jason. Has his new one in his lap all the time, man. Family first, brother. Make sure you guys go show some support over there. Also, Silver and Black Radio Podcast, guys. Go show some support over there. Appreciate you, Geomex. It's going to be – sometimes I don't know if I could talk. All right, Tate, 6'3", 185. That's good size for a receiver. I'll take that. I'll definitely do more research and definitely check in with him. Taylor Green, fellas. Bet you like him at quarterback. All right, that's the Arkansas kid. I'm gonna watch him. And man, Kevin Lurker, I appreciate you. LS, everybody, Kevin Lurker, everybody, I appreciate y'all being members. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I think I heard the wife and kids come back, so I'm gonna make sure I get back to them. Appreciate y'all, man. Do me a favor, double tap that screen. I am going to go live tomorrow with Severe and Chris. Chris is going to be back. Chris is going to be back. In the Raider War Room, we're going to break down the game against the Eagles. Tap in with me. I might do a video here and there, but I typically try to go live with those guys. I do my solos like I'm doing today periodically as I have time. I might hit you guys with the video. I might start doing some shorts. It's easy just to kind of get a quick just perspective out there, and I hope you guys rock with that. But I definitely appreciate y'all rocking with me today. I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate the members. I appreciate the subscribers, everybody that's viewing afterwards. I appreciate y'all, man. So look, have a great rest of your Saturday, what's left of it. Enjoy the game, whether you want to win, lose, whatever it may be. Enjoy it with wherever you're at, with your friends, loved ones, whatever scenery you're watching in. I hope you guys enjoy it. Tap with us tomorrow night in the Raider War Room where we break this thing down. Shout out to y'all. Double tap that screen, hit that like button. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.